Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 4Player Animecast. I am your host, Spire, and we are again right on, in the middle of December, just a little bit before Christmas. I believe our next episode should be on the 26th, right? So it'll be right after Christmas. So I just want to I'll be saying this.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, obviously, for the upcoming holidays.
Who
Well,
doesn't celebrate Christmas?
yeah.
Jews? Yeah, the
Everybody
people
is.
who have a holiday going on right now, actually.
Merry holiday.
Happy Hanukkah.
So
What is it? What is it? Kwanzaa. Yeah, Kwanzaa.
so I wish to again wish everybody happy holidays just in advance. And again, we'll be having sort of back to back episodes.
I didn't sign up. I didn't sign off for this.
Because we need to obviously cover previews for next year, the winter 2021 season. We need to do the end of year awards show, and obviously we need to actually start reviewing the winter season. So it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks. So watch out for that. But yeah, episode 159. We're in the thick of winter, and this will be our last fall 2020 review. So this is actually pretty strange because usually we do only have around 5 episodes of reviews or review podcasts rather per season, and then a preview podcast. But we decided that since this season has so many freaking big, unique sort of series coming in through the door that we might as well have a 6th episode, right? So yeah. Anyways, my enough about me. How have you been doing, guys? Dark?
I've been doing all right.
Pretty good.
Um,
How's your past 2 weeks been?
I've only been playing Shadowlands.
Yeah,
That's
everybody.
it. I'm playing
Literally
WoW. I'm
everybody
playing WoW right now. I
ev-
have not stopped playing WoW.
everybody I've been seeing on Twitch is just like, I'm not doing the thing I should be doing. I'm just playing Shadowlands.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy. Blizzard's like, hey, guys, this expansion, you don't even really need to do shit. It's like, you need to do like 2 quests per week. And I'm like, awesome. I'm going to play more WoW than I've ever played before in my life now.
it's pretty funny because all the especially the older demographic of people that are again more in tune with how I was are pretty much they got into it because they could afford to do that, and so now everybody like they're on Twitch. There are literally 40-year-old men and that have channels that are just like that. It's just like we're just playing WoW now, guys. We're just having like 5-hour WoW streams. I'm like, you should
Yeah, I
probably
mean,
do something else.
it's crazy because it's like, it's a very different feeling when you like have essentially a setup every single day of knowing exactly what you're gonna have to do.
Right.
But like when they're like, yeah, you need to realistically do like 2 weeks, two quests each week. There's like 2 other things you need to do. Like really, you could probably bang out like your weeklies in maybe 3 hours at most.
Mhm.
But there's also no like time period of when to do them. As far as daily, like everything that's daily is optional. Like you don't need to do anything.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
So it's like, and then there's a ton of like weekly stuff that just doesn't give you gear or anything. It's just like, for each faction you chose, do you want to do like a thing with your abominations this week if you're like the zombie people? I'm like, no, I don't
And the
even want to
funny
set
thing
that
is,
up.
and the funny thing is, as you get like, as a person gets older while playing these games, that sort of thing is actually much more of an attraction than having more stuff to do. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, I mean, I
you're
set up
not stressing
all
out.
this shit. Yeah, I set up all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna use it. Like, I'm not using any of my sanctum. I'm just gonna go farm herbs and make money instead,
Mhm.
and then like supply my stuff for raid night and do
Yeah.
dungeons. Like when you can log in and just like bang out like what you want to do, it's
Mhm.
awesome. And then it's like it also doesn't hurt that the mandatory weekly content is literally a roguelike tower to go through. To do 2 runs of that, which might take you like an hour to 2 hours if you go really slow. And it's
Right.
like when you're going in and you're doing weird shit and you're getting like weird powers that make you leap when you jump and stuff like that, it's just fun because it plays so differently. That doesn't just get dry.
Right.
But yeah, um, you know, did a good job. Other than that, I've been keeping up with most shows. Akudama's really popping off. It's been really good. Um, I don't know. I feel like people might be mixed about it. I'm not really gonna get into spoilers, but I don't. I don't know. I don't know how a lot of people are gonna feel about the last 2 episodes, especially because it
Mhm.
kind of is tonally a little bit different than the rest of the show. Like
Oh,
without
okay.
getting too into it, it's gotten a little bit more serious in a way, but I don't think it's gotten like I don't know. I think the show as a whole package is so like bombastic and like strange in that sense and like silly that it's still very much like doing what it's supposed to. And I don't think I think as long as people approach it with the right mindset, um, it'll still be very much a satisfying series for them.
Right.
Other than that,
Right.
Jujutsu Kaisen continues to be awesome. Um, I'm trying to think of what else I really kept up with.
Did you keep watching Maojo de Oyasumi?
I haven't started that yet,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
I haven't started that. I'm gonna probably binge that once like Christmas Eve-ish starts rolling around. I
Okay.
started my diet again because I was like after Thanksgiving, wow, this kind of feels bad. So I started that again, and I'm gonna wait, and then I'll come off keto, and you know, I'll watch some cozier shows. Probably eat some pizza, have a good time.
Nice.
Uh, but yeah, I did watch a lot of Gochimon Usagi Deska season 3. Always good. But yeah, it's just been a pretty packed 2 weeks of WoW.
Okay. So pretty. It's, yeah. It's again. I've been pretty much seeing everybody on my social media feeds as well as the streaming platforms just playing WoW and all this stuff. So you're obviously not alone. Anyways, Nier, what about you?
I've been playing Shadowverse. A
A
lot of
new
fucking Shadowverse.
a new development for you.
Yeah,
For
really
sure.
changing it up. Yeah, I've been playing a fucking lot of Shadowverse lately.
How
I'm
much
like,
Shadowverse?
like more than I should.
That's essentially like any any time is
Yeah,
more than
really
time
any
is good.
amount
Yeah, exactly.
is more than I should, but like more than usual for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like pretty close to hitting Grandmasters.
Oh, nice,
Um,
nice.
but the thing is, they just announced the new expansion, right? The new
Mhm.
card pack. And obviously that drops at the end of the month. So if I really want to like hit Grandmasters, I gotta grind it out like within the next couple weeks.
Mhm.
I don't know if I really want to do that, but I probably will, just like inadvertently. Um, but yeah, the new expansion looks cool. It's another Grand Blue crossover. Um,
Mhm.
so all the cool Grand Blue cards. I'll probably bring in.
Isn't Shadowverse itself a Grand Blue crossover?
No, it's
No.
a Rage of Bahamut crossover.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, they're bringing in the Jutenchus, which are like these super cool characters from Grand Blue that are like freaking awesome at what they do. and the new trailer that came out was pretty cool. I think it's pretty heavily implying that we're gonna straight up get like Gran and Jita cards,
Mhm.
which will probably be neutral cards, and then like they'll support the new legendaries. Um, yeah, that'll be pretty cool. The new mechanic that they're adding is literally just Union Burst, which is already in the game.
Mhm.
But the thing is, this time it's newly labeled Union Burst, but now there's like a super version as well. So
The fuck?
I'm not really sure what they're going for. Yeah, they're calling it Skybound Art, and of course Super Skybound Art. Really original names that they're reusing from Grand Blue Versus, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's basically Union Burst. If you remember what that is, it's like the Union Burst has a basic uh, number attached to it, and that number being like what your turn number is. And every time you evolve, and that card is like in your hand, that number will go down. Um, so there's the Skybound Art, like value, which is lower, and then there's the Super Skybound Art, which is higher.
Okay.
So I think it's a pretty interesting idea because it's like you have the Skybound Art, which is like obviously an earlier payoff, like momentum swing kind of thing,
Mhm.
and then you have the Super Skybound Art, which is like a potential like alternative win con for some cards, right?
Oh,
But
okay.
obviously that's going to be later in the game, right? Because values are higher. Um, so it's kind of an interesting idea, but it's funny because the Shadowverse devs they literally went on stream after they implemented Union Burst, and they were like, "Yeah, we're never going to do this mechanic again," because because so there are a few mechanics that Shadowverse players have actually like been like, "Yes, this is good." Uh one of
Yeah,
them
because
being
every time they've put it in a mechanic, it's always been like they've introduced it with something that essentially broke the game, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. One of the mechanics that people really liked obviously was choose, right? It was a very good mechanic. People liked a lot. I think another one was uh, I'm completely blanking on the name, but like the third one that people liked lately was Union Burst. Like people really did like Union Burst because it was an interesting, and for the most part, it wasn't broken as shit.
right.
But I think like the Shadowverse community was like asking the devs like you should add more Union Burst cards. You should add more Union Burst cards. Um, But then the Shadowverse devs were like, "No, we're not going to do that." and and now they're just basically doing it again, but a different name. So it's kind of funny. But yeah. Other than that, I've kind of dropped off on watching as much anime.
Mhm.
I sort of dropped off on Jujutsu Kaisen. I've fallen behind pretty hard on Higurashi, but I do want to catch back up on that. Um, But what I did watch and I'll be covering was The Day I Became a God.
Well,
Uh,
that's an almost sort of mandatory watch, right? Like for us, it's
yeah,
like if we don't watch that,
yeah.
we need
I
to have a
mean,
talking. We need to have a talk,
I've
right?
been putting it off for a while because obviously, like it's kind of like the big series this season,
Uh-huh.
and I was very like anxious to watch it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I watched pretty much all of it, except for like I think the most recent episode I haven't seen. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'll be covering that later.
Okay. Uh, what about you, Toast? Has your past 2 weeks?
So let me tell you about HoloLens
Jesus
and
Christ!
ID2.
You just blasted through the mic there. Okay,
What
keep going.
really? So HoloLens Gen 2 ID debuted. They're all right. I've been
Okay.
watching. I had my hopes on Anya, but she has potato internet. So now my hopes are now on Crazy Ollie
Okay.
and Rainer. Rainer is pretty good. She's drawn by Pochi Maru. You guys know who that is.
Yeah.
Yes, Pokemon, yes.
Dude, yeah. You
Yes.
know, she draws the Onesan stuff. She's a VTuber herself. Subscribe to her channel.
No.
Uh, let's talk about crazy Ollie. She speaks 3 languages all at the same time. So
I don't think that's how that works. Okay.
yes, it is. She can speak English, Japanese, and Indonesian at the same time. So whenever you watch her streams, you have to put her down to at least 0.5 speed to understand, unless you're really good, like me. What? She talks super fast, Near.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's developed a technique where she can weave different language words in between others.
Supernatural powers.
Is it
Can you
because
speak over
she's a
it?
zombie? Yeah. Okay. You guys like Zombieland Saga, right? Now it's real.
Please don't ever can we look?
Hell yes.
The VTuber thing is one thing, but the last thing I want is for Western fans who really like Zombieland Saga to cross the whole to really come across the gate.
I mean, the
and start
second she
messing with
has,
the
the
VTubers.
second she has like a live, that's
Wow,
so it's
Spire, why are
great.
you gatekeeping?
The moment any sort of music thing comes up with her, that'll
Why
be what's set.
yeah. You know who sung Saga Jihan? Say and 3rd gen? Too late, Spire.
Suisse and others.
and others.
Too late, Spire. The seeds have been sowed. You can't stop the English VTuber fan base. Also, speaking of English VTuber fan base, some fun things are happening. I see what you're up to. I won't talk about the rest, but I see what you're doing.
Well, what have you? What have so you've been mainly again watching VTubers? Have you?
But what do you expect? Yeah.
Have you been up to watching any anime or anything recently? Games,
No.
whatever. No, just
Oh.
VTubers.
I've been watching Dino Daiboken. Still good.
Okay,
Still good. With nothing wrong with it.
that's nice. So mainly Daiboken, Dragon Quest Dino Daiboken, or Dai's Adventure.
I've been
Adventure of Dai, excuse me.
Sure, I've been thinking of getting Dragon Quest 11S because now it's on PS4 and Xbox.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I'd have to play through another 120 hours of Dragon Quest 11. But do I want to do it for the Jade quest line? Maybe, because apparently it's a completely new version, so I can't share save files. Like, God damn. It's also a apparently it's just a up-res port from the Switch version, so it's gonna look worse than the original version. So that's fun.
Mhm.
But I can also play it in 2D mode, just like a real Dragon Quest game. So that's kind of a that's a good point. Who cares about graphics when you can play it in 2D mode? I might do that. I might do that.
Okay, so
Also, can you believe Germa got past the DMCA ban through his own soundboard? That was some smart timing by Germa.
okay, so mainly you've been keeping up with this the streams and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I've been keeping up with Germa streams. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. I guess as for me,
What do we need out this fire?
I haven't been up to too much. Just again, real life stuff. Balancing out other stuff that's not necessarily anime. But I have kept up with Majo no Tabi Tabi, obviously because I fucking love this series. And
Is it still the best anime in the past 3 years, like you said?
I don't know whether I never said
don't
it was the
think-
best
I
anime
don't
in the
think
past.
he said that.
Well, then
I wanna be careful there.
what other anime would beat it in the past 3 years?
I think there are a few. I just can't remember them because my memory is terrible. And
So
always
you're
everything.
so yeah. If you can't remember, it means it's a reigning top.
I don't think that's how it works, but I'll try to compare it at least to this year's anime, see if there are any notable contenders.
What else came out this year?
You can just look up the Wikipedia page. That's actually honestly always the best option. Anime television series, if you look that up for the year, like it sorts by year. It's really nice. But yeah, I kept up with Majo no Tabi Tabi, a bit more Adachi Shimamura. Akudama Drive, I watched a few more episodes of. I do want to get a little bit more into it. And I keep starting and stopping Maitetsu, again, the Train Girls series, but it's just so slow. It feels like it just like I'm trying to jog through it so much. Wait, people.
Are they doing anything with the trains now? Like, what's
What do
your
you
favorite
mean?
train? Because there are a bunch. What are those guys who like trains called? Trainees?
Train otakus? Train.
no.
That's pretty good.
Oh my fucking god.
That's really good. That's
don't
the
know.
knee
There was
slapper.
There was a. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Rail Fan. That's the one.
Isn't it just train otaku? That's what they
No,
call
it's
it, right? Rail fans? Is that an actual term?
Yeah. I
Rail-
googled it. It says Rail Fan.
Rail.
Do you,
Oh wow! What the fuck?
you think
What the? Wait, what is this name? Okay, it says rail fan, rail buff, or train buff. Like this part is okay. Railway enthusiast or railway buff. Okay, sure. Train spotter. I've heard of that before.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
And then
Yeah.
ferroequinologist. What is this word?
What the fuck does that mean?
equinologist like a horse?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Actually, it does.
Like ferro fluid? I don't know.
Ferro as in like iron something, probably.
Oh, that's
steel.
cool.
But anyway,
Like, does Japan have more than one type of train? All they got is the bullet train, right? Do you think they understand real American steel?
U.S. steel.
Yeah, who would win in a fight, Japanese train or a American train?
I don't. I don't. That's I think the subject of a Transformers movie rather than an actual
Like,
discussion. But
The only train I saw is that Kabaneri Iron one, and the one
Kabaneri?
from that, and the one in that one episode from Rurouni Kenshin where Kenshin split a bunch of logs in front of a train, and he
New
rode a
Demon
horse.
Slayer movie, dude.
Cavalry of the Iron Fortress.
Yeah, but that's like old trains. They don't have new trains other than the bullet trains.
Cabaneri was a steam train.
Dude,
Who
fucking-
uses
Kenshin,
steam trains
what?
nowadays?
all I can remember of Cavalry is the opening, which was done by
Yeah.
wait, wasn't it? No, it was who was it? Freaking it was the
Was
same
it-
person who did Another, right? Or the same band, excuse me, did Another, right? Am I getting it wrong? No, it's actually not. I'm wrong. I'm
Neither-
retarded. I'm retarded. It's by Egoist.
Yeah,
It's by
Egoist.
fucking
Yeah.
Egoist. I sorry guys, I'm just retarded.
Maybe
I'm
you're not a true
I'm gonna head out, guys.
ferroequinologist.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
true. That's it. Anyways, again, I've been keeping up with stuff. I do want to, again, I really want to get into visual novels, but it's like all the visual novels that I've been checking out recently are all very slow for some reason. It's always stuff like, I just got into this town, and then 50 billion mini chapters later and transitions later, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna make friends in the school. I'm like, oh, please, just progress the story for the love of God. And
Are there any good noogies you've seen lately? I mean, I want a new good one. One with a really good story.
That's
What was the one about the witches and they get
No.
killed and stuff? What's that called again?
I
Burn
don't
the
know what
witch.
that one.
Near what's it called again? You know what's up.
What?
It's the one about the witches, and there's a bunch of scenes where they get killed, and it was apparently had a good story. It was like Parasite or Zombie or something.
Feel
Title?
like I sort of know what you might be getting at.
I
but I have
feel
no
like
idea.
I know what you're talking about, but like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a
It-
blank.
Yeah. Sorry.
Like, jeez.
Anyways, yeah. That's pretty much all I had. Is there one where the girls are trained? Yeah, my Tetsu is the one where the girls are trained, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're called rail lords or something like that because it's like because they're like I guess they control the trains, but they actually are the trains, and it's very weird. It's like a very Digimon kind of setup. But anyways, that was my past 2 weeks, and we should probably be moving on again. This episode is, I think, going to be a doozy. It's a very, 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 very big show. So please, just we'll grind through it. So we're gonna be having a lot of shouting and a lot of discussions and a lot of sighing. So, anyways, Dark, we'll start off with you. What do you have for us today?
Dude, in record time, just got the first boss down. I have, as you can see on the screen, Magatsu Wahrheit Zuerst. So this is a mobile game original that's like a mobile RPG. Yeah, it's like a mobile RPG. I don't know exactly how it plays. It looks really weird. Its quality as a mobile game doesn't particularly seem like crazy visually, but I don't know. Maybe there's some popularity to it. People seem to actually like the game, so I don't know. So the basic story is it's like I want to say almost like World War II to like post World War II-esque, like in some situations, like maybe 1950s ish, like aesthetic.
Isn't just World War? Isn't it just World War One plus
It's like
steampunk?
yeah, it's like with
Is
magic
it World
too.
War?
That's
Yeah,
that's
and there's
usually what happens,
magic
right?
as well.
Okay, so here's the issue that I sometimes have because it's
Actually,
like
yeah, you know what? No, you're right. It's World
Japanese people
War
use
One.
World War II names, but a lot of the sort of technology and the sort of geography stuff that they use is very much before it's World War One,
Well,
and
the
then
problem is
they
that they
also
have like
chuck in
fucking
steampunk.
grenade launchers. I don't think
Yeah, I mean,
they
I
had
didn't
like
say
single
these
shot
writers were
grenade
smart. I just
launchers
said
for World War One.
Yeah, well, you know what, dude?
And they
World
also
War
have
One didn't have
hand
magic
machine
either,
guns,
so
so
shut up.
I didn't
yeah.
say these writers were smart. I just said that's probably what they were aiming for.
The magic really takes a back seat in from what I've seen so far. Like for some reason they give characters that don't use magic swords. I don't know why, but they do.
Yo, because swords are cool, bro.
Yeah, and then they like get fucking shot at anyway.
I mean, that happened in World War One, so
Yeah, I guess that's fair enough. But yeah, so basically the basic premise, like when we read this, it was like, oh, there's two different characters and at two different times, two different things happened, and then like this happened. It's much simpler than that. Basically, it's that there are two main characters essentially.
Mhm.
One whose name is Leo, and then the other one whose name is Inumeo.
Mhm.
Leo's story is that he's just like joined this like he was like a part-time job guy, and he was in he was in an orphanage, and then in order to like help out the head of the orphanage, he joined up as like a imperial like soldier with him, with like the other guy too. And on one of his jobs, he meets Inumeo, who's like a cargo like transporter. And one day, while Inumeo is transporting cargo, he gets wrapped up with like these rebels. In like their like cargo got mixed up, and he had their guns, and so he got arrested and jailed. And so while he's in jail, the rebels like do an attack on the castle or whatever that he's in, and they break him out and like everyone involved out. And so he just gets wrapped up by circumstance in this, and it turns into a big gunfight with like the Imperials. And he winds up killing the like essentially like older brother type of Leo's during the fight. And that's kind of like where they stand now. Like he basically sealed the deal that he now is wrapped up with these rebels. His story is infinitely more interesting, which is probably why he's been given significantly more screen time so far. So, oh yeah, there's also mutants, by the way. Weird mutant creatures.
By the way,
So
can
the
can I
story,
just
the story itself, kind of like that's where it picks up. There's not much else to it, to be
Okay.
honest.
Is it so? I know there are obviously a lot of mobile games have received various kinds of adaptations, both bad and good. But is it? Have you seen any outside resource, or not outside resource, but have you seen any of the original material for Magatsu? Can you compare it?
No, I looked up like a YouTube video and it looked almost like fucking God Eater for some reason. Like some of the enemies they fought. Like there's I saw like a big fucking golden angel face and I was like, well, haven't seen anything like that. We've seen weird lizard guys and like these other weird mutant creatures with like pot bellies and exposed brains. That's about it so far. So I don't really know where it's gonna go with that. It seems to be Nazi experimentation-ish type like shit. Like they're like, oh, we found like from our village, like we've been getting these attacks, and like up there's like an abandoned like laboratory or like factory from this like faction that's either dead or I can't remember if it was that or if it was like the Imperial guys. It might have been the Imperial guys, but they find like these broken test tubes and everything like that, and like, or not test tubes. What would you call those? Like giant incubator tubes, and like small incubators too. Just all fucked up. And then they, find mutants, which were villagers at one point. Spoiler alert! It's pretty fucking obvious though. Now, granted, I'm also telling you these things. This is like episode 3, because interestingly enough, episodes 1 and 2 are both very bad, pacing and visually. So Spire brought it up. I honestly I didn't forget about like COVID, but I felt like it didn't impact like any of the shows I was watching quality wise. So this he had brought up because there's an extreme jump in quality by episode 3, and that was very likely due to COVID. I would assume, because it's like, why else would it jump this much? Like episodes 1 and 2, I'm telling you, like when I say bad, this isn't just like standard with like, not great visuals. Like when we said Tower of God doesn't look very good, or like looks bad. This isn't like that kind of bad. This is like amateur, like early 2000s, like
why
bad.
are they
It's
doing?
like fucking
Why are they
Mars
doing?
of Destruction, like bad, weird shit. Yeah, it's just like, the characters are like fucking cockeyed in like very close-up shots. Like one frame gun animations of them like firing where their entire body recoils back at like a 45-degree angle for like for one frame. That was really cool to see. And the fights in episodes 1 and 2 looked absolutely terrible. The sound design was bad. However, episode 3 was like night and day. It's not anything impressive per se,
But it was still a very significant.
but it looked fine. Like I was
Right,
like,
exactly.
oh, like if this is what it looked like from the beginning, I wouldn't think anything of this. Like I wouldn't have thought like, oh god, this looks like atrocious. I would have been like, okay, this is like pretty standard and fine, with some like decent shots in it. The standout thing that Stan and I had noticed was the backgrounds do look quite nice. In episodes like 1 and 2, they're still like pretty good. They reuse the same ones a lot. But by episode 3, there's a lot of like forest backgrounds and layering that does look quite nice, which is cool. At least it's got something going on in that regards.
How did they utilize 3D?
How do you 3D? The only thing that's been 3D so far has been like vehicles, to be honest, as far as I can remember.
So it's pretty much majority hand drawn.
Yeah, it is. It is quite impressive that
It's
like
interesting, actually.
they didn't really cut corners even in that regard. Even with like guns, which I was like, okay. I mean, I would have figured at least for like gun swords and soldiers, maybe even they would do that, but I guess they didn't want to. So
Right.
even the mutants are drawn as well, which was also very surprising because if it's a monster, it's in fucking CG. But these lizard monsters very much were not. So I'm very curious to see more. Like I'm actually going to continue it just because it's like I want to see where this goes. There's a really cool black character with like a fucking like what do they call those? Like a golf cap and a it's not even really like a katana. It's like a katana blade, but with like a almost like scimitar like pommel and like hilt. So he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's called Count Dooku's lightsaber, dude.
Pretty much, it is. It is somewhat similar. It's just not as curved. But yeah, I skimmed a decent amount, so like, the intricacies of the story, I'm not really keen on just yet. But overall, it seems like it could get pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any last
I
word?
wasn't expecting it to jump up in quality. Yeah, this is from the
Yeah,
studio
that's
that
the
did
biggest.
like Mirror Tights and something else. It was very
Lapis
interesting.
Relights,
Yeah,
the weird like idol kind of show.
yeah. So for them to be doing an action show, that's pretty interesting. I think overall, if it did not have that initial like souring, which was probably caused by the pandemic, I imagine, because who the fuck opens up with an episode like that and then gets better over time? Uh, so yeah, I mean, and also like even like something like Mirror Tights or show that you mentioned that name I can never remember. Even like that, it's like there's no way they had visuals that were even remotely close to as bad as episode 1 and 2 of this because it would have gotten completely blown up. I think it has the potential to be pretty interesting. I think the world itself is pretty cool. If they do more like subtle background stuff of like not really, like they go to the lab and they explain it was like an abandoned lab that's like all caved in, but they don't like really, they don't zoom in on like the broken test tubes and go like, what are these, like some kind of test tubes or something? They're just there, which is nice. That it seems to be more like they're gonna do a not really what would you call that? Like post-war like thing? Like how would you describe that sort of scenario where you're showing these like background elements that you don't quite explain,
What do you mean?
but like they come into play, like how I was saying, like with the lab, like they don't really linger on there being test tubes. They're just like, yeah, this was a lab, and in the background you see these like broken open, like giant tubes or like broken down like tubes and stuff. So like
Are you talking
looking
about
like things broke out of
Foreshadowing?
it.
What
Shout
do
out?
No, it's not really foreshadowing. I'm talking about in the sense of like it's not a post-apocalypse, obviously, but it's got that like vibe to it, to where it's like this
You're
is an
setting up. It's like an
abandoned
atmospheric
location.
world building. Atmosphere
Yeah,
building, world
it's
building
like
kind of thing.
these are locations of like abandoned, fucked up experiments and shit that we have to deal with essentially.
Right.
And we don't, and like they don't really understand exactly what they're dealing with. So I thought that was pretty neat. I'm trying to think of what else there was. Oh yeah, this show has like one of the worst openings I've ever seen in my entire life. I
That's not
described it
bad.
to Sin as the visuals of it are just like the covers of math textbooks from like elementary school and high school. If you can envision the cover of a math textbook, that's what these visuals are for this opening. It's like nothing. Which again, after Spire, you brought up, you think this was due to COVID. That makes a lot more
Yeah,
sense now. That this was them like scrambling in the beginning of the lockdowns and being like, well, we have to do like some kind of opening. Like,
yeah, like
can't just have nothing.
they're trying to do work.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, it's like the show looked so scuffed to begin with for the first 2 episodes. It's like makes a lot more sense in how they couldn't really pull together a great looking opening animation. So, overall, I would say either check it out if you're interested and like try and bear with episodes 1 and 2, or alternatively, wait a while and see if like the Blu-ray like set comes out with like improvements down the line. That's another thing I was thinking of too. Like maybe they'll just like redo essentially episodes 1 and 2 when the Blu-rays come out. So
Mhm.
I think that could be good.
Hopefully it'll this winter is gonna be weird, but hopefully it can kind of wrap up in a proper way.
Yeah, I hope it ends like well. I hope it wraps it up well. And I hope they pulled off something with this. I'm gonna watch more of it because now I'm interested.
Okay, so again, this was Magatsu Wahrheit Zeit. Magatsu Wahrheit Zuerst, right? I think I'm
Yes.
pronouncing that right. Yes. And it is based off a mobile game, but if you want to check out either the mobile game or the anime, check it out. And yeah, thank you, Dark, for reviewing it. Moving on, I guess I'll be up next. And I'm covering again a pretty big series for I guess any season, but especially in this lineup, it is Munona Nana or Talentless Nana. It started off as I think pretty cult sort of. It became sort of a cult popularity, cult following, and then it kind of became really popular later on in past couple of years. And now it's been obviously adapted into an anime. I believe the studio is Bridge Studio, if I remember correctly. Bridge Studio, they're not, they don't exactly have the most stellar record. They did, what is it? They did Mitsudome, Nobunagun. They helped a little bit. They helped with Fairy Tail, I believe. I'm
They
not
did
sure if they
Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, dude.
were. Wait, were they the mains? No, they weren't. It was me. Oh no,
No, they were.
they did do the main work of it from like 170 episode 176 to 328 or something like that. So big chunk of Fairy Tale. Card 5 Vanguard. They did a lot of the stuff that they've
So
done
why?
into like
So does this show involve card games?
yeah. No.
That seems to be their strong. Well, that dude's holding a card or a photo.
They're just working with one hand behind their back kind of stuff. But yeah,
Now that you've said this, these look like card game characters.
you guys aren't wrong, but yeah, they're a lot of their experience I think is with children's shows a little bit more and with like action kind of shows. They also did for some reason they did Nanatsu Shin Nanatsu no Taizai, and that's the one where I believe it is the
Seven
alternate
Deadly
to
Sins. Is that
yeah
Seven Deadly Sins? Yeah.
yeah they did they did Nanatsu no Bitoku, which is the spin-off of Shin Nanatsu no Taizai. Nanatsu no Taizai, the one that I'm talking about, is not the popular Nanatsu no Taizai, the shonen series. It is the sort of it's the one where it's like where the 7 like boob girls like who represent the seven deadly
Oh, hold
sins,
on.
whatever.
The seven boob girl? What? What is it? Is
They
this
all-
Total Recall?
You're not too far, but yeah, there are a bunch of girls who represent the seven deadly sins, and then the main protagonist, like Maria or whatever, like the regular human girl, like gets, and all this crap happens. But that's neither here nor there. They did a little bit of that. They did.
They did Mitsudomoi.
Yes, yes.
Based.
They also did the most recent Shaman King, or they will do the most recent Shaman. That's coming up, so that's gonna be kind of. But Session said this is another but superpowers. That's a very interesting way to look at it. I
Was
wouldn't say
this
that
the one that looked like a bootleg Boku no Hero Academia?
Wait, what? Which one?
This series.
The series?
I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Pretty sure I called this series like bootleg. Like in terms of the art style, anyway.
Yes, bootleg Boku no Pico Academia. It
Wow.
is very. Yeah, I mean, I think the premise and the way the artwork is, most people will kind of be like, yeah, of course, this is kind of like essentially a ripoff of Boku no Hero Academia, right? But it's quite different. I get what Session is saying when he says this is another, but with superpowers. So the basic premise is the entire school is, or they're on an island, or there's all these students are on an academy. The academy is on an island, right? And this island is filled with talent individuals with superpowers, right? All the students each have like superpowers, like turning back time or freezing stuff, ice powers or fire powers, or all of this, right? The usual superhero academy. And the reason why the academy and the kids with superpowers exist is to defeat these monsters that have appeared around the world. And so in the academy, they train them to defeat these monsters, blah, blah, blah. But one day this girl appears called the academy, or a new transfer student or new student or whatever appears. She's called Nana, I believe. Excuse me. Hiragi Nana. And she says she asserts that she has the power of mind reading, but she actually is an assassin without talents who is sent by the government to kill everybody there, kill all the supernatural individuals there, because the government have secretly deemed that all these students with superpowers are way too dangerous, and they're the ones that need to be stopped, not the monster. Which is a very weird sort of
But
thing.
what
to go off
about
of.
the monsters?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna. I'll discuss the logic of that later. But the government is just like, these kids with superpowers. They're the ones that are too dangerous. We need to get rid of all of them. So essentially, the entire story is about Nana trying to get rid of all of them. Very sort of, I don't want to say standard, but it's a almost old school style. I want to say 60s, 70s style of Dirty Harry kind of, anti-hero, and like, oh, I'm the justice. Sorry, this is the justice I'm gonna mete out, sort of thing going on.
Is it like a reverse slasher flick or what?
Reverse slasher, as in like
Like
you're looking at that, like the villain is the protagonist.
Perspective of like
yeah, it is. Yes, it's kind of like that, but it's also trying to balance out the fact, because it's like the thing with those sorts of like slasher, obviously, or like one by one things die, right? Is that usually in those films, the villain doesn't need a reason, right? Because the villain doesn't get that much time, if that makes sense, right? The villain himself does not get time. The villain killing people.
Yeah, the villain is typically treated as, in essence, just like a force of nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Enacts whatever needs to be enacted in order to take care of the cat.
Right. But in this case, Nana is sort of the center of it all. She's always the one getting FaceTime, and she's like, oh, I gotta off all these idiots, right? in the school. So she sort of is forced to not only take this character development, but since she's the protagonist, she has to also sort of carry that weight of I'm the protagonist, so I sort of need to have some sort of motivation beyond being a psychopath, like a sociopath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's sort of an additional thing that is going on as she goes through and kills everybody. And while she's trying to kill everybody, other characters in the academy, the recurring characters in the academy that have survived or are not being killed off by Nana, are trying to kind of piece out, hey, why is everybody freaking dying or disappearing, right? So they're trying to catch Nana in the act or trying to stop her. So that's sort of how it goes, right? The way so audio visuals, it's not bad. It's not particularly impressive either. I do like it's smooth for what it is. Like there aren't really like any problems with like in between frames or anything like that. But it's not particularly impressive. It's not it's not PA Works, it's not Uva Tables. Right. Anyways, all that aside, my evaluation on the series is that I think the closest way I would describe Talentless Nana is that it's a very good magician's trick. and what I mean by that is the way it arranges the story elements, the literary elements of what it has, like the literary elements that it has, the way it arranges them, it makes me think, oh, this is really unique and unusual, and something might be going on. But then I think about it a little bit harder, and I just go, actually, it's not particularly any better than a standard. What are you fighting for? Are you evil? Am I evil? What's going on? Sort of that approach, right?
Right.
That something like Akuma no Riddle, if you've seen that, like a lot of these sort of survival games have the usual like, oh, I need to be the agent of the vigilante, the agent of justice. I need to meet it, blah blah blah. So it's not particularly any more impressive than that. And a lot of the reason is that, again, it is a little bit more uncommon and unique since the protagonist is, again, the sort of sociopath being like, I need to freaking kill all these stupid talented people and these students, right, that are kind of just on this academy. But the way that it goes about it is the timeline is very scrambled. So what I mean by that is it sets up Nana, and then it has these sorts of episodes, right, where each of these people are getting murdered, right, and then obviously as each of these people are getting murdered, some of them have these stories, right? So it's like the nice boy next to her has this power, but then he's kind of been afraid of it because his family pressured him into going into the academy, and all these, they bring out the background motivations of each of the talented students, whether that's good or bad or whatever it is, right? And they show that before Nana kills them off, right? So to kind of show their human side or show them why it was right for Nana to bump them off, right? Because they were being assholes or whatever it is, right? This guy was an asshole with his power, so he should be bumped off. But this guy was pretty nice. He was just like a little bit hesitant or whatever, blah blah. And it was a little bit silly for Nana to bump him off. And those sorts of back and forth. This guy was good. This person was bad. Blah blah blah. Tries to aim to bring a little bit of humanity into the characters that she's killing, as she kills them episode by episode or mini arc by mini arc, right? And then after that, in between and after that, a lot of these sorts of developments happen where people are catching on to the fact that she's killing everybody on the freaking island. So they're trying to, so the story then ends up trying to juggle her trying to kill everybody, and then the perspectives of the people trying to catch her in the mystery, but then the writer is like, well, these students can't catch her in the mystery too fast because then, it wouldn't be a story, right? So they have all these students be really stupid for, X amount of chapters.
Of course.
And then next to that, they're trying to juggle more story content in terms of sort of the lore behind all these monsters and the talented people and, Nana's backstory and why she became this government agent in the first place and all this bullshit, right? And so they're trying to do all this, and which is already a hard enough juggle in and of itself. But then the way that it's sort of chronologically done is very scrambled. So the issue is that, like, Nana, the way that the initial episodes happen, where Nana is just kind of offing people, and then maybe some backgrounds or sorry, the backstories of each of the characters that she's killing is kind of shown. It's kind of awkward because at the end of the day, because she's essentially going through each character, it's a total mess. Like, you keep feeling like I'm gonna get some value. Yeah, Pirate Ideals in chat is like, I've enjoyed this show, but it's a total mess. But yeah, I feel like I keep feeling like I'm gonna get some value from the show, but then like just things are happening, and it's like, oh god, stop happening. Stop. Less things should happen in this show. So, getting back to my point, the way things are happening is that in the initial part of the show, she's killing off people, right? And before she kills off people, it's kind of like there's a backstory, blah blah. It's very much like a standard survival game series, right? An infamous example being Junie Tyson, right? The one with the zodiac animals or whatever, right? They're like, here's backstory. By the way, Boar's dead, kind of thing, right? So that sort of thing keeps happening, and in my opinion, I'm not particularly convinced by that manner of storytelling. Not only because it's not very unique these days, right? But also because it's just that a lot of it's going through it too fast, and a lot of it's just like the underlying motivation for Nana having to kill all these idiots, right? And sort of Nana's mentality, in my opinion, has to be set up before contrasting what Nana is thinking, her philosophy, her sort of existence, with the characters being assholes, if that makes sense, right? It's like before analyzing the victims, in my opinion, I think you should set up a base for the killer, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
So it's just, for me, the reason why I say that, when in horror films the killer just kills people, right, and we don't see background for that horror for the villain, right, is because when the killer, when the psychopath killer or the agent, hitman or whatever, becomes the protagonist, right, we're already trying to sort of find a reason as to why the protagonist is there and doing this kind of shit in the first place, right? That's the first question that we have, right? We're not exactly satisfied when we just see Nana just killing people. We're not like, oh yeah, that's just, this is just building tension by not telling us her backstory. Like, of course they'll go into her backstory in episode 8 or episode 10 or whatever. We're always thinking, wow, why is this girl a freaking psycho? Like, can she calm down a little bit? That's what we're thinking, right? It doesn't really build up tension, for me at least, when the story doesn't tell us why exactly she's just so intent on killing all these stupid motherfuckers. I'm left with a feeling of, okay, this stuff is happening, I guess. She's just killing people. Okay.
I think I think specifically, like you don't really need a backstory per se for the
Well,
main
okay, yeah,
character,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Because
do have to be,
because
yeah,
obviously, you
sure,
know, the
yeah,
Hitman series is very popular, and
yes,
Agent 47, it doesn't really have a backstory, right?
hmm
Um, but obviously, you need a reason to root for the protagonist, right? There
yes,
needs
yes,
to be a driving factor as to why the main character is performing the actions they're doing.
it's so intent on doing so. It's so
Yeah,
intent on doing so, right? Because Hitman, like obviously, because he's a hitman, right?
yeah. I
And
mean,
the
obviously
villains
because
aren't
he's a
really,
hitman,
yeah,
and I mean, in the more recent games, they've gone a little bit further than just because he's a hitman, and
right,
they've like, but I think in the more recent games, like when you go out like on a hit, they'll give you like actual backstory as to, like who you're killing and like
hmm
who they are, and basically in the new games, it's all just they're rich, elite, fucking assholes, and
hmm
they're corrupt, right? And that's
right,
really all the motivation you need, right? Is like if
right,
they're not good people, kill them, right?
right,
But obviously, if the main character is going to be, if the main character's main purpose is to kill off the rest of the cast,
mhm.
you need a reason to root for the main character,
Oh,
because
and also, and
otherwise they're
this
not
also
a
came,
protagonist, right?
this also came to mind, and the difference between also Hitman and Nana is that with Hitman, at least at the beginning, a lot of it's much more straightforward, right? All these rich, corrupt assholes, whatever, blah blah, are pretty straightforward missions, right?
Yeah,
But for Nana, it's much the academy itself. I mean, obviously, some of these people are set up to be assholes. For the most part, they're just regular kids, right? So it's much more talentless Nana. The killing of the children, the killing of the students, is set up to be much more of a gray area morally, right?
right.
Because yeah, they're assholes, they're arrogant, but they're still kids, right? Um, but if you're trying to sell that sort of gray morality and, oh, because they're assholes and because of blah 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 and Nana's backstory, what Nana's doing is morally justifiable. If we're trying to morally justify what Nana is doing, right, we need to know what Nana is thinking, right?
Yeah,
We can't just have some of the gray morality explained and then be like, Nana is just killing these stupid idiots. Like that's not how that works, right? So that's sort of what kind of made me uncomfortable. I just didn't think that there was. It made me feel very empty because a lot of these people were just like, here's backstory. Okay, they got bumped off, and Nana is building up. Obviously, we're not stupid, right? We weren't born yesterday. Nana is obviously building up to an episode 7 or episode 9 or an episode 11 sort of backstory exposition where they show, oh, my parents and my entire life was changed by these stupid, arrogant, talented people, and that's why I have to have revenge. They're so arrogant and so stupid. I gotta kill them, and then maybe she'll have a change of heart later down the road or whatever is going on. Right? It's pretty clear, if you weren't born yesterday, right?
yeah,
So so that being said, it's being able to see that down the road and kind of seeing this sort of lack of any real other unique development happening, it didn't impress me because at the end of the day, it's all the same thing. It's just in the timeline and chronological is just scrambled. It's like they put the exposition kind of later, and then they put the killing kind of up front, and then they kind of mix it up, right? But the elements are all pretty much the same. So that's why I call this sort of a magician's. It's a visual trick. They're trying to trick the eyes into being like, no, this is a really unique series, and it's uncommon for sure. It's an interesting premise that they've dug up, but in my opinion, it's not particularly much more impressive than a standard vigilante or sort of survival game ish themed atmospheric series. So that's sort of the thought I had, and the more I went, I honestly was sort of rooting, or even now, I'm honestly rooting more for the students, because, or for Nana to get freaking like killed or something like that, just because I think a lot of the story is also very much sort of on the nose sometimes, except for like the one or two characters that are sort of onto her what she's doing. Other than those two characters, and even those characters they lose brain cells because they have to, so that the story can be lengthened. But everybody else is very much very dumb. So what does that mean? That means that Nana can literally just go around. It's like one of those old Flash browser games, right? Where as long as you're not in their line of sight, you can just walk behind them and you're like, boop, they're dead, kind
Yeah.
of stuff, right? It's pretty much that. It's the easiest Among Us game of all time. The execution was interesting to me. It wasn't particularly impressive. I wanted it to be impressive. I kept feeling like, oh, maybe there's something more unique here, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I didn't really get that sense of, wow, this is a change of pace that I sort of want to get from this series, which was very unfortunate. But yeah, that's sort of all I had for now. I think if you want to see sort of, if you want to get a taste of something a little bit more unique, or something a little bit more edgy and anti uh, anti-hero, sort of Dirty Harry kind of style, vigilante, whatever kind of thing going on, then you might as well check it out. But don't expect something that's like super unique. You're not gonna.
So what you're saying is watch The Boys.
Yeah, I'd be careful about that. I wouldn't necessarily phrase like that. It depends on the boy you're watching, but yes, you
No,
could
The
do that.
Boys.
The
The
boys,
show,
oh yeah,
the
all the
series
boys.
where they kill the
yeah.
superheroes.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, that's pretty much all I had, and yeah. So if you do want that sort of taste of that more uncommon premise, check out Talentless Nana. But yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next series. Toast, what do you have for us?
So, you guys like Naruto's son, right?
Not really.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Sasuke's daughter? You like her?
Yeah.
Salad?
Yeah. Actually, I should say I probably like Boruto more than I like young Naruto, though.
Well,
Boruto
yeah.
actually has convictions he sticks to.
Does he? I thought he was a lazy good for nothing.
No,
his
he's pretty much
conviction.
like no man left behind. Like,
That's just, so you mean that's his ninja way?
Yeah.
yeah, Boruto's kind of just like
But he hates
doesn't
his
like,
father.
if
Yeah, with
something
good
he feels is
reason.
bullshit, he doesn't accept it. Like, doesn't matter who tells him like, oh, you have to do this. If he's like, well, I'd rather not because that seems fucked up.
But he doesn't want to become Hokage. He wants to become the second wing of the Hokage.
Yeah, he
the
wants
Shadow
to become
Hokage.
fucking Sasuke, and then Sarada wants
Yeah,
to become
yeah.
Naruto.
Wow, what an
How's
inversion
that
of
for
character traits.
writing?
Pretty original.
The Shadow Hokage's daughter wants to become Hokage, and the Hokage's son wants to become Shadow Hokage.
Wow,
Very
that's just
cool.
like me.
That's just like what happens in Fate with the inverse world and Siegfried. Right, near? You get it.
Talk about that.
It's exactly the same.
So where am I going with this? Yeah. You know how Inuyasha was about Inuyasha?
Believe it or
Well,
not.
Yashahime is about the Shomuru's daughters, plus Inuyasha's daughter. Why do they have daughters? Gee, I wonder why.
I don't think I needed this much of a silence. Yeah, sorry, Toast.
They just showed up, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the Yasha part of Inuyasha. Now that's Yashahime. Get it?
Yes, Toast.
It's good. Does she count it? Well, I guess she does, because they're the son. They're the son of that Toga. So wait. So okay. So Inuyasha and Stromaru's dad is this big demon dude who's a ruler, right? The emperor of the West. So that would make Inuyasha and Sesshomaru princes.
Yeah.
And so by default, they're all Himes. I get it. That's why it's called Yashahime.
Yeah.
So, all right, where was I? So the first episode starts off with the actual the epilogue of Inuyasha, where there's this wood demon that attacks a sacred tree, like a couple of years after that they dealt with Naraku and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, the wood demon's looking for Kikyo, even though Kikyo's been dead for a couple of years, and they're like, idiot, that's not Kikyo, that's Kagome, and then they kill the demon. Yeah, but the demon, a piece of the wood demon, uh, attaches itself to the sacred tree, the one that travels through time and stuff. So it lies in wait later on, and then somehow a couple of years later, I think 4 years later, Sesshomaru throws his daughters into the wilderness to be like, because he hates them or something.
What the fuck? Okay.
It's more like the Spartan thing where
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
throwing the kids down the crevice and be like, stronger one of you will survive, I guess.
Okay. Yeah,
So he
okay.
throws both of his daughters down into the woods, so so they can survive and stuff. But there's this big fire, and then Toa, the white-haired one, she gets pulled into the future.
Okay.
Because time travel magic. I'll explain that later. And so she arrives at the Higurashi Shrine in the future, where she's raised by Kagome's younger brother Sota, but now he's older. So she lives there for 10 years. Yeah, good for her. While the younger sister Setsuna, she gets adopted by Kohaku, Sango's younger brother of the Demon Slayers. So yeah, 10 years pass, I guess. They're 14 now. Toa's been living in modern society. She dresses like a tomboy because you need that type of character.
Okay.
Let's see. Then some stuff happens, and then what? Long story short, in the past, or not long. Well, it's a long story. And so in the past, Setsuna's fighting the centipede demon. Centipede demon, and then Inuyasha's daughter Moroha shows up, and she fights the centipede demon. Man, this is basically what happened in the first episode of Inuyasha, but with more steps. The first episode of Inuyasha, Goma gets thrown down the well into the past, fights a centipede demon. The Jewel of Four Souls, the Shikono Tama, comes out of her body, and it's like, oh, I remember this, and then Inuyasha comes to save her. But now it's the reverse. The centipede demon's daughter in the past fights Moroha and Setsuna, but then they get pulled into the future through magic pearls. More on that later. So they arrive in the future, and then they meet Toa. Toa breaks her sword because it's a shitty prop replica, but then she gets a lightsaber in its replacement, and then they defeat the demon, and then they get sent back to the past. So yeah, and now they're on a adventure. The story's kind of a rehash of the original, I guess. Well, they get sent to the past because of the wood demon, but now instead of the Shikon no Tama, Now there's the rainbow pearls. Because you gotta have some sort of plot device. And there's 7 of these rainbow pearls, and they grant fantastic powers to whoever wields them, aka just like the Shiko no Tama shards. Whatnot. What my theory is that this is basically the Shiko no Tama reborn, because at the end of Inuyasha, Kagome wished it away. So they're like, oh, we need a plot element, let's bring it back. But let's split them up into 7 now. Because, there's 3 daughters, now we need 4 more characters to fill the void or whatever. And so, yeah, that's it. Now the three of them. Well, there's even more plot elements, but should I bring it up or not really?
Oh,
Whatever.
So when does this take place? Because you're talking about time travel. So is this like, does it take place after Inuyasha, or is it like
Yeah, it does.
okay?
This is definitely a sequel because you got the daughters and stuff, but it takes place. But the modern age is the Reiwa era, so it's 2020, and then
okay.
the feudal era age. It's after the end of Inuyasha. I don't know, 10, 15 years later. I don't something
Right.
like that.
Do they like is the original cast like relevant?
Well, here's the
Or
thing. Here's the thing, Near. They've all disappeared.
oh,
The only I guess previous member that shows up is Kohaku, but he's not really a main character. Well, I guess you could count Sesshomaru, but we can go into that later. But yeah, because Kohaku's the leader of the Demon Slayer, Demon Exterminator tribe now, yeah, so he raids Setsuna and whatnot. But the reason why all the other characters disappeared is there was this prophecy. You know how Inuyasha's dad was the ruler of the West, right? So you gotta have the ruler of the East, the great Daiokai. So he's there, and so he wanted to take over the West or something like that, the Western Japan, something like that. And then Sesshomaru's there. Sesshomaru's there, and he teamed up with that guy. So for some reason, mysterious reasons unknown. So to oppose them, we got Inuyasha and Kagome and whatnot. So before their fated battle between the 4, Kagome left their daughter to that raccoon dog that always hung around with Moroku.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I know. I kind of know.
So yeah, she's hanging out with her. That's why you can see her hanging out with that raccoon in the picture up there.
Okay.
So she's hanging out with the raccoons and other weird people while growing up. She doesn't know who her parents are. And then, of course, Toa and Setsuna know who their parents are, but so yeah. Man, it's pretty confusing, isn't it?
yeah.
Just
But yeah,
slightly.
so basically everyone's disappeared for unknown reasons because of a great calamity of time and space, because the sacred tree controls time and space and there's time travel, so everyone's gone. You gotta find out the reason why.
Uh-huh. So they were all sucked into the time hole.
Yeah, I guess
Let's
basically.
spit again.
Or
Let's
I
spit
I
again.
have a fan theory that I might bring up, maybe not. You know what? I will bring it up. Screw it.
Okay.
Remember how I said there's 7 rainbow pearls?
Yeah.
I bet some of them turned into rainbow pearls or whatever. Because okay, so the whole point is so far there's a couple of rainbow pearls that appeared. Moroha has one. It's red. Gee, I wonder who else wore red in the show. Then Setsuna has one, and Toa has one. They're both in their eyes. Kind of like how Inuyasha had a black pearl in his eye. Get it? It's all interconnected. Look at all this reused assets in this show. But yeah, so they got to find the 7 pearls and whatnot. Yeah. Sure. Okay. You get it?
Yeah.
I don't. So what about this show? I'm 11 episodes in, and I still don't know what's happening, I guess. Pretty... meth- uh,
Is it like mostly episodic or what?
I guess. You know, you've apparently there was this whole thing about, oh, this is going to be a threat even greater than Naraku. Naraku is a
Okay.
pretty big threat, but I don't see it yet. Maybe it's because of, I don't know. I have a multitude of reasons why I don't see this as being better than Inuyasha so far. Maybe because I don't see the end goal yet,
Okay.
and it's pretty nonsensical. I see. Well,
Well, is the end goal in terms of just the writing? Is it just mainly to kind of is it just like a nostalgia trip kind of thing, or are they actually trying to expand the story properly?
how
Or
can it be a nostalgia trip if none of the characters show up?
I
Well,
mean,
except maybe two. Well, there was this. Well, I mean, I saw Red once and then Sashomaru once, but they didn't do anything. I I think one of the main problems I have with this show is that it's not written by Rumiko Takahashi. It's written by some other guy. I didn't bother to look at that guy up. Also, another main problem is that this is for us cool. This is for us cool manga readers who read Inuyasha. You know about how Inuyasha ended before, like, the epilogue, before most of the main story got made into anime, right? But then they had to rush it with Inuyasha, the final act. Kind of like what they're doing with Bleach now. You know, Bleach is
yes,
coming back.
Right.
yes,
Finish
yeah.
the last arc. So I had a sneaking suspicion while watching these episodes, and it pretty much confirmed it when I Google it. They've this show's been reusing cut story elements from the manga and putting it as their own for this.
Well, apparently the series composition for this is Katsuyuki Sumisawa,
That
and he has worked. He apparently did script writing. I don't know if he did main or not, but he did script writing for the original Inuyasha anime series, Inuyasha the movie 2,
I
Inuyasha the
like.
movie 3, Inuyasha the movie 4, and Inuyasha Kanketsu Hen. So,
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I mean, he's worked on the series for a pretty long time.
But that doesn't excuse the reusing of story. I said that's one of the wood demons that possesses people. I remember that from the manga. There was this whole deal about this demon that eats bones. I remember that from the manga. Whatever. Like, maybe they wanted to reuse assets from the show or from the manga that didn't get to put in the show. Maybe that's kind of a problem. But yeah, about the show. What else? I mean, it looks good. I don't have a problems with how it looks. It looks just like Rumiko Takahashi's style. Well, like you said, it's the same dude who worked on it, so it looks like Inuyasha.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like if
it's
they didn't
done
keep the
by.
continuity that way, at least that way, they probably get a lot of very
I
unpleasant
mean,
emails.
it's done by Sunrise, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess any last words? Would you if somebody if somebody was just like, yeah, I watched Inuyasha like 10 years ago. Should I watch
uh-oh.
Yashahime?
What was
What
that?
would you think?
My microphone fell. What do you want?
So if somebody, so I guess just to wrap it up, if somebody was like, yeah, I watched Inuyasha or read Inuyasha, whatever, like 10, 15, 20, however many years ago, 50 years ago, whatever, right? They want to say, uh, and they're like, should I watch Yashahime? What would you say?
I mean, I definitely say watch it. this is definitely a continuation of the series, and well, I mean, let's be honest. Rene's kind of sucky. Mao's kind of sucky. What else is? I mean, not that they suck, but I think that Inuyasha is probably it could be argued that Inuyasha is her best work. Well, really, everything she worked on before Inuyasha, that too, like Lum, that's good. My Son Ikoku, I really like that one. Mermaid Saga, I don't know. Rama 1/2, that's good. Inuyasha, like of those, all the stuff she's worked on, plus Inuyasha beforehand, that's her good stuff, and this is a continuation of her good stuff. Yes, yeah, but like, I think that another reason that this show's kind of wonky is that it's front loaded with all these characters. It's like, okay, we're gonna introduce all 3 of the daughters in the same episode, and I'm like, what? That's fast. But I mean, they're main characters? That's, I guess, sure. I'm confused, but another thing. What's the deal with Moroha? Isn't she supposed to be the protagonist? I guess you'd think that Inuyasha's daughter would be the protagonist, but no, she's kind of sidelined and does her own things. We barely know anything about her. But she's got Kagome's spiritual powers, and she's barely stronger than a human, but when she puts on this lipstick, she can tap into the powers of her demon blood heritage and become as strong as Inuyasha, but only for 1 minute. And I'm like, what? Like, is it because she's one fourth demon?
Fucking
Why-
Ultraman. Like,
But like, why don't you give her stronger spiritual powers? Because she's 3/4 human. But no, her spiritual powers look like they suck. Man, I remember Kagome's arrows blowing apart a demon in one shot. She did this fancy technique with multiple arrows on a centipede demon. Didn't even kill her. What's up with that? I don't know. Why is everyone so weak in this show?
I mean, I think it's Yashahime is much more of a sort of. I mean, obviously there are things that happen in the series, but much more of a sort of I want to romp around rather than sort of the world is at war. Not even the world is at war, but the world is in disarray kind of thing. Which was much more of the angle that Inuyasha had, right?
I guess.
So I think.
But yeah, like there was bigger stakes in Inuyasha than Yashahime so far.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm calling too.
Like, you introduced me to this great demon. Cool. Guess what? Naraku was a half demon, and he terrorized all of Japan. And like all the other great demons they fought in the show, let's see, Inuyasha beat one of them. The Shomaru fought one of them. They beat him in one-on-one combat. What's up with this?
Yeah.
I mean, most of the problems I have with this show are story-wise. Maybe it's because I don't see a focus as of yet. It's also, what, 12, 11 episodes
It's
in?
hard. Again, I think all of the stuff that you're saying is sort of all integrated because it not really having a focus, and the fact that again it's much less the backbones that were in Inuyasha, right? For instance, like
Most of the problems
obviously
would be solved if this had a manga before it came out. But I think
think
that,
so?
yeah, sure. If
you
they
mean
had
you mean just like a more developed story in general?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
because it feels like they're just winging it so far
Mhm.
and reusing assets. And I'm like, I mean, okay, but Inuyasha was great because it took a long time to do things in that show. And it had a long a long chapter count, and we're gonna do this thing and then this thing. It feels like they're truncating a lot, which could be solved by, this is an established manga beforehand. This has a good story. Let's turn this into anime. But no, this one's just, let's just turn it into an anime and wing it as we go.
Mhm. It's a little bit unfortunate, but obviously they want to see how much.
I mean, it's
They-
still good.
Yeah, they want to give Inuyasha a pretty full chance, but
I I definitely recommend this over Rinne and Mao and whatever. Kyokainer. Yeah, I watched Rinne. It was okay. I tried to be Ranma 1/2 plus some Inuyasha, and it was average. This is definitely better through being a sequel to Inuyasha. So, yeah. I mean, while I have some problems with the story elements, I'll say definitely watch this. If you like Inuyasha, if you're an old anime boomer who saw it on Adult Swim, that's why I say Kagome. It's Kagome, not Kagome. Deal with it. I was there.
oh. Anyways,
Yeah, just so definitely check it out if you like Inuyasha. I know Sesshomaru is still a fan favorite. Guess what? This is his daughters, and their daughters are cool. I mean, all the characters are pretty likable. They got their quirks. Toa's the tomboy, I guess, because she's the older sister. She has to be strong to protect her younger sister. Setsuna is the younger sister. She also grew up strong. Like she's kind of like Sango, but she also lost her memories. Yeah, that's one of the plot elements I forgot to mention. There's a one of the antagonists is the dream butterfly, steals people's sleeps and memories. So for 10 years, Setsuna can't sleep. That sucks. So at night she just stares into a wall or something for 12 hours, 8 to 10 hours.
Pretty
So
cool.
Toa's goal is to just beat up the dream butterfly and restore Setsuna's sleep and her memories. Also, the dream butterfly has Rin somehow. Rin's there. You remember Rin, the little girl that's a Shomaru stole that one time?
Yeah.
She's sleeping under the sacred tree, and the dream butterfly was there for some reason. And the sacred tree was all like, "Hey, little girls, you gotta beat up that dude and Sesshomaru, save the world." And they're like, "No, Sesshomaru's my dad. I kind of like that guy." And the tree's like, "Damn, okay."
Shit.
Well, if you say it that way, then yeah, and then that's how they exorcise the evil wood demon from the sacred tree. By the way, they try to make a deal, so the wood demon's like, so the wood demon, since they refused the deal, the wood demon came out and they beat it. That's how they get sent back in time. But then the sacred tree in the form of Kikyo shows up when Sesshomaru appears, and she's like, "Hey, dumbass, Rin's sleeping, and if you continue down this path, she'll never wake up." And then he just walks away. Cool. So yeah, Rin's sleeping under the tree for some reason. Sure, maybe that's why he teamed up with the other guy. Save Rin. Also, no one knows who Sesshomaru's daughter's human mother is, but everyone knows. It's like you see Rin there, and it's like, oh, I guess that makes sense.
Okay. Well, anyways,
Yeah, so do it. Just watch it. Fine.
yeah, definitely check it out if you are any sort of fan of
I am.
Inuyasha manga or anime or otherwise. So please do check that out, and thank you, Toast, for helping cover one of the definitely biggest names of the season, if not all year. Yashahime.
Is Yashahime more hype than Higurashi and
Well,
Macho no Tabi Tabi? I'd say so.
I think it depends who you
Anyways,
ask.
yeah. Anyways, thank you, Toast, and we move
Depends on
now.
it depends on what era of anime you started in.
Alright, anyways, thank you, Toast, and we move now on. Last but most certainly not least, well, Nier, and also I'm just gonna be heading out after he starts. So see you guys.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the podcast, by the way.
Yeah. So Kamisama ni Natta, also known as The Day I Became a God, is the new PA Works and Key collab work.
With PA Works.
Yeah.
PA Works, the whole shebang, visual arts.
Headed by
Jun Maeda.
Jun Maeda, of course, baseball
been-
man himself.
Yeah, it's been unlocked from the hospital, unchained.
Yeah. Man, where do I start? So Kamisama ni Natahi is a series that starts off with the basic premise of you have your super standard, fairly generic MC, Narakami Yota. He comes across a mysterious girl who claims to be a god.
Wow.
She calls herself Odin, and
What?
she claims she's omniscient, and the world will be ending in 30 days.
How could she call herself Odin if she still has 2 eyes?
Yeah. Conveniently, that 30-day time period is like summer break, right? And that's the basic premise. A lot of this is pretty episodic. It seems. A lot of it's basic slice of life. Comedy stuff, and then sort of at the end of the episode, it kind of sort of continues along its basic plot line. There's a constant countdown going off at the end of
Right.
every episode. And I really don't know how to feel about this series.
What are we gonna do, Nier? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, so I enjoy. How do I word this? I like watching this series. It's an entertaining show, right? I like the character interactions. I think the comedy is very well done. I think the characters bounce off each other fairly well. For the few rare instances that they're all on screen together.
Wait, you haven't watched episode 10 yet, right?
No, I've
Ah,
not.
Fuck, I think that would change your mind a little bit, actually. I'm not gonna
Really?
lie.
I mean,
Fuck.
you can go into it if you want, because I'm gonna
Essentially,
watch
okay,
it
so I won't spoil. Like the thing I say here, if you haven't watched Kamisama ni Natahi up to like episode 9, 10, won't be a spoiler. But essentially, you know what happens at the end of, or in the latter half of episode 9, right?
No.
No.
I mean, what
Did
I've
you
gone
watch?
up to, I went up to episode 8, I think, where they visit her dad.
Oh, okay. So essentially, episode 9 and 10, things get serious, and then things take a very bad turn.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of fucking exposition going on in 9 and 10. So I think you, it would be nice if you could also watch it afterwards. But yeah, just what do you generally think about the, how do I say it to word this carefully? What do you think about the general composition of the series? You know what I mean by composition, right? Like what it's trying to juggle.
Just like the flow of it, or what?
Like again, the elements that it's trying to juggle, like it's trying to have this sort of strange secret society mystery thing going on.
Oh,
And then
I
it
mean,
has the supernatural element and it has the friendship stuff, and it's all trying
so I mean, I think there are a lot of aspects of this series that are entirely unnecessary. I think the secret, corporate espionage, like conspiracy shit, is entirely unnecessary. Largely because they introduce it in what, like
I fucking
episode?
hate it so
They introduce it in what, like episode 3, and then it doesn't show up again until like episode 6, right?
Mhm.
And then
The thing is, it's still quote unquote central to the plot, but I
I mean, it's relevant, but it's also like it's not necessary. Like the things that the
just
corporate,
railroading.
like the things that the conspiracy corporate shit is like unveiling is stuff that like you don't need to have this plot line to reveal this information, right?
Well, you
Especially
wouldn't.
because
You just like it's just in general having the evil corporation kind of play the driving factor in all of this. It's just I hate it. I hate it so much. Like it's like Versailles all over again. I hate it.
yeah, I mean, so obviously, I'm not caught up on these supposed super important episodes, but I don't really know how hard um the corporate stuff like goes in terms of like really driving home like I guess the central like plot. But I
Mhm.
feel like from what I watched, like the stuff that they're looking into is really stuff that you could have revealed slowly just by like the MC questioning the parents who very
Mhm.
clearly know what's going on. Um and then the scene where they go and visit the girl's dad, who also clearly has some indication of what's going on, right? um I feel like you really didn't need this quote unquote antagonist character snooping around and hacking into the mainframe and revealing these tidbits of information that's like it's not a format that really like adds anything to like the core, like the meat of what the series was up to that point, right? Which was like slice of life comedy, right? With a backdrop of like somewhat emotional, character beats. Um so I think it's largely unnecessary. I think there are much better ways that it could have been done, right? Um and then, in terms of like the 30-day countdown, I feel like there's not really very much being done with it up until like these last few episodes where the characters are like, "Hey, by the way, the world is going to end soon. By the way, the world's going to end soon." And the MC's still like, "I don't think that's going to happen." Right?
Mhm.
I feel like there's really not very much being done with that, right? Because so when I heard like the 30-day like the world's gonna end in 30 days premise, I immediately thought back to what was it, Plastic Memories, right?
Mhm.
Where uh the female lead is, a robot and she's basically given like X amount of time to live, right? Um and they really drive that home for like emotional impact. Uh but I feel like in this it's kind of just like, yeah, it's there, and then like I guess when we get there, we'll cross that bridge. But for now, like it's not even something that the characters are thinking about, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm not really sure like what they're trying to do with that. Um, and then the supernatural aspect, I feel like it's a bit more. I feel like it's a bit less focused on in this than other Junmai works. Would you agree? Because
So the way
I
they're
feel like
trying
the
to do
supernatural
they're
stuff
not they're
is a
not
bit
really trying to
more.
do they're not trying to do pure supernatural like it was
Yeah,
in
it's more
Clara. It's
ambiguous,
technology,
right?
or no, it's technology essentially,
Yeah.
and that'll be clarified in the later episodes. But it's essentially
Right. I mean, I figured, but like for the initial episodes, right? It's a much more ambiguous, right? Where it's like, uh, it's obvious that this girl like has some sort of like precognitive abilities, right?
right,
But
right.
it's sort of up in the air as to whether it's actually like some sort of magic or it's something else at work, right? And I
Yeah,
feel like
and
that.
also it takes a little bit more of a like it's a backbone, but it's not like that obtrusive of a backbone. It's not like oh, this is a thing that's happening right. This is fucking magic that's happening right now. Focus on it right now. It's
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit more of it's just on the struggles of Hina's backstory, like why she's here. Kind
yeah. Which I think I kind of like it. It's a bit more refreshing than going from Angel Beats, where it's like, yeah, we are fucking dead, and
of.
we're in heaven, and
Or
we're
like rewrite where everybody's just like they're druids.
and Rewrite, where there's druids, and
Yeah.
Charlotte, where everybody
Yeah.
has superpowers, and it is a bit more refreshing. It's a bit more laid back.
Do you prefer the whole sort of it's a little bit the supernatural is a little bit pushed to the side a bit more rather than
um
having
I don't know if I really prefer it, but it is a breath of fresh air from Jun
yeah.
Maeda, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think it gives more room to do like the slice of life stuff,
Okay.
which I think this series does pretty well. Um, but yeah, it's certainly different. Um, Other than that, I'm not too sure. I think the
You
main
need to
I
you
think the
fucking
main character he's really boring, right? He's very standard. He's very generic. He does the typical like siscon jokes. Um,
yeah. The
what?
thing is, it, it, it pains me because you can kind of see this weird progression happen, and I don't know how to describe it, but in stuff like Kanan and Clannad and so on and so forth, right? In the earlier sort of, I've already watched. Accession was like, can't wait for you guys to watch. No, I've watched all of the episodes. This is why I'm having such a different reaction from Nier.
Yeah,
But the thing is, I mean, that aside, that's I want to have that discussion a little bit later, but yeah, and it'll be a short discussion. But
I mean, if you want to go into that and spoil me, like,
just a little bit. It's not gonna be huge, and you need to watch this series to get like an impact of like how sort of big it is, because like I obviously have a bias against that sort of storytelling in the first place. Um, so in stuff like Clannad and stuff like Clannad, in my opinion at least, the main characters like they weren't just obviously they were a little bit sometimes they were grumpy whatever blah blah, but they had sort of their own stories and they were kind of like, oh, I'm doing my stuff. Like, who the hell are you? And then the world kind of got built around their stories as well as all the other characters of the main heroine's story, if that makes sense,
mhm,
right? Like Tomoya has his own story. It's just that there are additional stories that are overlapped on top of it, right?
yeah,
And even in Little Busters, everybody sort of has their own story and it's all kind of overlapped, right?
yeah,
But then in stuff like Rewrite, um, the recent sort of what I've seen of the protagonist in Summer Pockets, this thing, Charlotte, and sort of all these much more recent PA work, or sorry, Key Studio stuff, and whether it has Hashimite or not, a lot of them are just very empty. It's so weird. It's like it's almost like a positive Gen Urobuchi kind of thing going on, where the characters themselves aren't that much, but then it's always seems like they're just trying to tell this huge, grandiose message about morality or faith or the power of friendship or whatever. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
always like, oh man, this is all about, the difference between, saving a child and saving the world and all this, trolley, moral, justice kind of thing going on, right? Basic normative ethics questions, blah, blah. And I just feel like the story isn't worth the grandiose message unless it starts out in some sort of sense that I can kind of grapple with, right? It's like the guy needs to be interesting, the girl needs to be interesting, their stories need to be compelling, and then once you expand their stories from like this little like cocoon of their small world, their small stories into a grandiose, moral butterfly, right?
yeah,
That's when that thing becomes beautiful. But when you're telling me in these trailers and at the beginning, like, oh, all these big things are happening. Did you know this big thing's gonna happen soon with the girl? You're not
Yeah.
impressing me, right? That's what's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, and I think it's probably most apparent in this series with the main character because he's very like he's basically just there
Yeah,
for
he's there.
comedy, right? Like he's there for um
He's there for eyes, like eyes on like what's happening in the plot,
yeah,
and
and
to
he's
provide
there
the
to like
balance.
bounce off of Hina, right? Like
Exactly.
that's really his only
It's the
purpose.
Watson. It's a Watson. He's the Watson to um, the Hina's Holmes, except he does even less. He has even less of a role than Watson does.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Which I think is probably for me my biggest gripe with this series because especially so the early episodes they focus largely on the main character's affection to his childhood friend Izanami Kyoko, right? Which is your typical like black hair cool girl, she doesn't show emotions outwardly. um and very very early on they they do the Junmai to baseball scene, except he doesn't swing at all and he strikes out and everyone leaves. uh and then afterwards, after embarrassing himself, he confesses to his childhood friend and she says no. um which I thought was it was a decent spin on like the Junmai to baseball scene, right? uh because typically Junmai is like, yeah, baseball, emotions happening, right? um but this time it was kind of just like, yeah, baseball, fuck you, right? Which was okay, I guess, for a slight spin on a fairly long running. I don't even know if it's a gag at this point or Junmai just fucking loves baseball or what. But um after that, pretty much all the episodes are like, uh, there's basically gag episodes, right? Which are like,
Yeah. Again,
how do we get the childhood friend to fall in love with the main character, right?
yeah,
And
the pacing again kind of reminded me of a little bit of Dempona, not as impressive, but again, stuff like Charlotte and
yeah,
Shinito.
and the episodes were solid. The comedy's fine. I liked them quite a bit. But eventually, it sort of moves on from that, and it gets to these points where it's like the main character is put in these situations where he has every reason and every opportunity to confess how he feels towards this character. And every time, it looks like the childhood friend likes him too, right? They're setting up this like emotional moment that Junmaida typically does. Um, and then they just have the main character like pussy out. And he's like, instead of asking her out, he's like, "You want to go to the library and study?" And they play it off as a gag, right? But I feel like there's so much that they could have done with like the main character's like obvious fear of moving forward, right? Especially with this premise of like the 30-day time of the world ending, right? Even though I feel like the series makes pretty clear that it's not necessarily the world that's going to end. It's just that life is going to change, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like instead of just doing this repeated gag, I think they do it for like 3 or 4 episodes, where they put the main character into this situation where it's like the childhood friend is like begging to be asked out, and he just wimps out, right? And they play it as a joke, but I feel like they really could have done something with like the main character having a fear of like change or something. Um, but yeah, they don't do anything with that, and they just keep the main character as like essentially a joke character where he just bounces off the others for the slapstick comedy. Um, which is probably currently my biggest complaint with the series. Um, but other than that, I mean, some of the episodes I did really like, right? Like episode 5, which was the episode where the childhood friend like you know, they do the thing where like they fake the call with her dead mom, right? In order
Oh
for
yeah,
her to
the
see
her sort of
the video
exposition part,
message.
and yeah, her getting over it.
I feel like that was a good episode.
It was a nice episode. Yeah.
It was emotional. It had a good emotional punch. It went into the character in a way that I feel like was solid. Um, but then there's some of the episodes like was it episode 7 where they're shooting the episode or the movie or whatever, um, where like there's good comedy and there's good character synergy, but nothing really happens, right? Um, like the summer festival episode. Uh, I feel like that episode was like rife with opportunities of big character development, but nothing. At the end of the day, it's just like, yeah, that was fun. Um, and I'm not really sure like what the episode or what the series is trying to like push forward with episodes like this, outside of just like the characters being on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, which is a shame because like I said, when the characters are all on screen, uh, I think they bounce off each other fairly decently. Um, but like nothing really gets pushed forward, especially because there's a lot of secondary characters in this series that don't really get like really any development at all. Like the sister's friend, who they have this whole episode where it's like, yeah, her family is in horrible debt and they're being harassed by debt collectors. So they need to like turn their ramen restaurant around. And instead of that being like a super serious subject, they just kind of
Becomes
they
comedy.
yeah they turn it into like a comedy thing. It's like what's going on? It's really weird. Yeah, I really don't know how to feel about this series because like there are aspects of the series that I like that I think are well done. Um, but like when I'm looking at the big picture, like nothing's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
which is really unfortunate. Um, and it's really confusing too because like we were talking about earlier, there's this corporate conspiracy plot line which you think would be like at the very least pushing forward plot in every episode, but like they introduce it and it disappears for like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what uh I don't know what like Junmai is like trying to do with like these huge like areas of just downtime of just comedy. um
It's legitimately like stressing me out sometimes, like watching this, because it's uh, believe believe me, I want this. I want P Studio Works like series, especially P Works collabs, to succeed more than anybody else on this entire planet. That's just what the issue is. It's looking at this. So I might sound like an old man, but when stuff like Kana and stuff like Little Buster so on happened, right? When they were written, they had sort of everything in line, right? They had the ducks in line. They had the small stories, right? The individual small stories, and they kind of knew what sort of big points, like if you ask me what kind of concrete themes, moral themes are they um, heading for, right? For instance, Little Busters, right? It would be like friendship or, like kind of sticking together and not, yeah, like mainly just like not just, uh, kind of disbelieving in in sort of like what you have, right? And sort of the regular sort of adventures, the regular sort of bonds that you have, right? Even if they don't seem to be all that like special at the beginning, right? So like they have these sort of actionable, concrete themes that each series is working on, and in Little Busters, in Clown and so on, they kind of open up these small stories into these bigger moral themes, right? That happens pretty consistently and properly. But especially in The Day I Became a God, and especially as you go on and see how the transition works and see these first 8 episodes kind of doing, we're kind of doing stuff here and there, and we're kind of like, these characters are being kind of in trouble, and the Hina helps them, and so on and so forth, right? And then it goes into episode what happens in episode 9 and 10, right? It just feels to me that Jun Maeda, I don't know whether it's Jun Maeda, I don't know whether there are other writers that are, tripping him over. I don't know what's happening over at PA Works or Key Studio, but it's just a mishmash. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't really know what sort of moral theme they're trying to push. I don't know what sort of cathartic moment they're trying to aim for. It's just, I don't know what sort of small story that we're trying to empathize around, right? Like, there are characters to be pitied, but there aren't characters that were like, oh, the reason why they exist in this plot, right, is to tell this sort of story, right?
I
It's
mean,
like,
there
it's
aren't
very,
even like character stories outside of Hina,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm being a little bit more forgiving here, right? Like, kind of focusing on Hina, right, in the main story. But even she, it's like, she's someone to be pitied, right? But I'm not sure what sort of moral theme that uh Key Works and P or Key Studios and P Works is sort of trying to aim Hina at, if that makes sense, right? It's like, yeah, she got fucked because of her circumstance. Okay, then what? Right? So there's no like next to this. There's no like proper expansion. But all in the meanwhile, there's all this like hullabaloo in the background that's saying big things are gonna happen. Something big. Hina is part of something big, blah blah blah. Your family is part of something big. And I'm just sitting here going, what is it? What is this thing? Just, like, I don't need you to like tell me, on episode 1, but I don't need you to be, knocking on my door telling me that something big is going to happen. Make the big things happen, right? Like, make the big things happen, make it be actionable, and don't be, telling me these trailers are big things. This series is about big things, okay? Just believe me. I don't need you to tell me these things. I need you to show me that something about Hina is strangely like actionable, and it's actionable into a moral theme that I can kind of grasp. And it's just not happening. And not only am I kind of like, okay, well, Hina's here and she's kind of sad, I guess. She's kind of pitiful because of some things happen. But beyond that, I'm not really like empathizing or pitying her that much either. So up until episode 8, it's a nice fluffy series, and then episode 9 and 10, I'm just like, come on, man. And I just also want to put for the note, and I've said this when I've talked about stuff like Grisaya or other series that involve evil corporations, but the thing I hate most in this world, one of the things I hate most in this world in terms of literary devices, anime stuff, is railroading. And I just want to say, yes, there are things that happen that are stronger, like forces that you cannot control properly or are stronger than you that screw you over. That's a thing. But 99% of the time, when it happens in anime, right, it is railroading and it is bad. Okay. Like, when things happen and like an evil corporation, or you just die and boom, you just, stuff happens to you, now you got to deal with this or whatever, that is forcing the characters just to do something at the convenience of the story and not organic character building. So don't do that. What needs to happen, because the issue is when these sorts of inevitabilities happen, right? As opposed to when it happens in real life. When it happens in real life, you're just kind of like, well, that's inevitable for us. But I don't know what's next for the character, right? So or for me in real life. So there's some sort of suspense. or tension or despair or whatever you want to call it in real life, right? But in anime or in a story, when these sorts of inevitable forces happen, you know that at the end of the day, especially for anime, that the good guy is going to come back. So instead of the inevitable force being some sort of proper like blocking or despair, you know that the author or the writer is only going to have the inevitable force, the evil corporation, be as strong as needed to kind of push the main character onto the path he needs to be, and then the main character will fight the evil corporation back or defeat them or find a way to save the world or whatever. So it's not really an organic like force of nature thing going on. It's more just like, yeah, this premise needs to go at this pace, or like bad things needs to happen in the story for emotional tension. So here's an evil corporation. So again, do not add evil corporations into stories. You're like,
Hey man, I love evil corporations.
First of all,
Corp,
those are
evil
Kaiba.
corporation.
buddy.
Pegasus, what is it? Industrial Light and
Maximoid.
Illusion, evil corporation. I love those.
I love corporations, but yeah, I really wish Near needs to actually tell me, I don't know, maybe like next episode or something, that whenever we can do another recording of a podcast. And
I
just
mean,
tell me your reaction to what happened when you watched like the other episodes, but like,
is it that bad? Like,
it's quite a turn.
is it just like full steam ahead with the fucking hacking shit or what? Like, because
Yes,
I
it's
mean,
full exposition with the hacking stuff.
because it's obvious that like they're making Hina into some sort of like fucking Deus Ex Machina for something, right? But like,
She's the fulcrum of the plot, yes.
yeah, like I don't know. I can't even
You have
imagine.
to
Like,
see it. You have to see it. Yeah.
I really can't even imagine like what fucks up this series to the point where it's like in 2 episodes where it's just like, because I don't even know, man.
Okay? Wait. Okay. So after this, right? After this podcast ends, I want you to. We're gonna watch it together, okay? And then next episode, we're gonna at the introduction or like however, we're gonna do a very short like talk, okay? So I think so. It's a very for what I'm just gonna say is that I think I don't want to say it and come out sounding like too much of a boomer, but I think Jin Maeda is losing his touch, and he's trying to he's trying to bottle lightning too many times, right? It's just he's trying to go for these grandiose themes like, oh, something big is gonna happen, guys. You guys have to believe me, something big, blah blah blah. Because all of his previous series, all of the key studio previous series have been like that. But you can't. It's so hard to do. It's so hard to bottle lightning, 7, 8 times in a row. It's just not going to happen. So I think he needs to calm down and not try to make so many series that are kind of too big like that. So
I
Brian,
don't
why are
know.
you jealous?
I
Why
I
are
mean,
you jealous of Jun Maeda?
even Angel Beats, like, it kind of dropped the like something big's gonna happen pretty quick, right? Because you know once Tenchi like stops being the big bad, like there don't really go. It's kind of just like character stories at that point, right? Which I feel like is what a lot of people latch on to with Angel Beats, right?
wait, could you say that again? Like, what are you trying to?
Like in terms of like constantly foreshadowing like this big event, right?
Mhm.
I feel like Angel Beats kind of dropped that fairly quickly, right? Because the initial like setup for the group in Angel Beats was like fighting God or whatever, right? Um, and then like Tenchi was like the physical like wall that was stopping them from doing that, right? But like
Well,
then once
Tenshi. Well, once Tenshi stopped becoming the meme sort of like opponent, right? then it kind of turned into this thing where, again, much like say like Clannad or whatever, right? It kind of built up these little by little, like, story, like value stories where they kind of had their own like ends, right? They're
Yeah.
making each other, and then that kind of all summed up into a large conclusion, and
Yeah,
that's why.
I mean it builds up into a large like emotional climax, but
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not what
think
happens in
yeah,
episode 9.
well, clearly not. But like, well, I mean, I really never expected it to do that because again, this Day I Became a God, like it doesn't have character stories to build up, right? So I feel like it was kind of always destined to like it's really only two paths where either like dropping the secondary cast for the emotional payoff and have it
Oh,
only be the two main characters,
yep.
or
Okay.
or they just shit the bed, right? Which clearly
Well,
it seems like
aren't the two options aren't disjoint though, right? Both of them could happen, right?
I mean
The way you're describing it.
yes but what I'm saying is like I feel like the way Kamisama like set itself up with the secondary cast, like there was never going to be an emotional buildup like Angel because
With the overall cast.
yeah, because
Yes,
like
yes, I agree. I agree.
like obviously the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that people talk about when they look back on Angel Beats
Mhm.
is the graduation scene, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah. That is the crux. That
like
is
that
that is
is
the,
that
the
is
crown jewel of
that
Angel
is
Beats.
the
Yeah.
payoff of the
Yes.
entire series, right?
Yes.
Um and obviously when you look at Kamisama's cast, you immediately see that there cannot be a scene like that. Just because there are no characters to like have emotional payoff of that like scale.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I was talking about before, right? I wasn't when I was talking about, pitiable, empathizable characters, right? I wasn't even really considering the secondary cast. I was mainly focusing on what was happening with him, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
Um yeah, I don't know.
You'll have to watch it and kind of
I
understand.
guess, but I think it really is just a question of like what were they really planning for this series, right?
Yeah,
Because
oh my
that's
god.
that's the biggest question because the character stories aren't there. The main character isn't really there.
Mhm.
Uh
Heroine is kind of
there's this
edgy.
humongous foreshadowing that Hina is going to be some sort of Deus Ex Machina to some sort of event.
She
Um
will be Neo.
and then they have this sort of like I guess I don't even want to call it a backbone because it's not a backbone, but like this like secondary like driving push of the corporate conspiracy that like comes in and out intermittently, and then I guess now it just explodes. Um, it's really bizarre. Uh, I really don't know what like the payoff of this could possibly be. Um,
I don't know. I don't know why this. I don't know who suggested this project because it's like. I hope it wasn't like. I hope it wasn't Junmai. I hope like it was somebody at Key Studio or Visual Arts, right? That was just like some stupid CEO asshead person who was just like, yeah, we just need more Clonauts, guys. Like we just need more Angel Beats, okay? And then they pushed Junmaida into hurriedly making something right after like Summer Pockets or something like that, right? And then it became Kamisama ni Nattahi, right? I hope that's what happened. If this is like, Jin Maida's like idea baby, little, it's like baby after all these years, or not even after all these years. It was right after Summer Pockets, right? But after Summer
yeah,
Pockets, I'd be
I
not happy. I
I don't
wouldn't be
know.
happy.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. This just it feels really unfocused.
yeah. It's
It
rushed. I
just
think. I think it's
yeah.
sweet.
Uh,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, I guess I'll update my opinion after I watch
Ah.
this like fucked up episodes because um I mean I didn't I wasn't caught up because like the subs I was downloading was GJM,
Yeah,
and they're only
their
up to
encodes are
episode 8,
not good.
so
Yeah, oh, yeah, they only had episode 8. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got up to episode 8, and I really didn't expect like the next couple episodes to be so pivotal that it would like completely reshape
How many?
my opinion.
It's only
of the series.
episode 12, right? Or it's only 12 episodes.
It's a 12-episode series, apparently. Yeah. So I don't know.
What? It's already almost over? Already?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
You're not giving Nier much confidence, okay?
I mean,
How long was Angel Beats again? Because that was a
Angel
really good
Beats
show.
was like 13 or something, right?
I know it was
yeah.
rushed, but it had a really good ending.
Yeah, I mean, Angel Beats payoff is extremely good, but obviously,
It's
like the
extremely
biggest
solid.
complaints you can have of Angel Beats is that a lot of the cast is very underdeveloped, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
There
But
are quite
yeah,
a few characters that kind of just disappear from that series.
Yeah, that's what the
yeah.
visual novel is for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just
a
yeah,
very
so yeah,
unfortunate.
Nier basically just wait for the visual novel version of this. It'll be worth it.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll put it.
So Nier, what would you rate it on the list of Jun Maida works?
I think no. He has. I think he has to wait upon that because
Yeah,
I think
I don't
but
know. I mean,
we'll
in
leave it on this
terms of, like,
cliffhanger because I think
for
You're saying
me
it's like
right
fifth?
now, in terms of like general viewing experience, I'm not as angry as I was going through Charlotte.
Charlotte was. Yeah,
So,
Charlotte
like-
was a thing.
Charlotte was fucking bad. Like, I was
Yeah.
angry.
So you'd rate this like fifth?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I probably rate this pretty low, but like, it's definitely above Charlotte.
Not Charlotte low.
Yeah.
Anyways,
What about but Fire? What about Little Busters? Would you rate this above Little Busters?
the visual novel?
No.
The anime?
Yeah.
I still think Little Busters the anime is slightly better.
Season 2 was better than this one.
That's a good question. I think yes. I think it is slightly better than The Day I Became a God, just because again, I Became a God just doesn't have. It's just a thing that wants to be. It's like it's like if the original, stuff like Kana, the Little Busters visual novel, so on and so forth, if that's like juice, right? Then this is like flavored water. You know what I mean? It's a
You
very
mean like LaCroix?
Yeah, it's like sparkling flavored water. You're like, yes, I guess you put like apple-ish or like strawberry-ish, or not strawberry, like citrus-ish kind of flavors into it, but it's clearly not juice, right? Like it's that sort of thing. It's a very light kind of like, oh yeah, I guess this is trying to be a key studio work or a PA work. It doesn't. Anyways, we'll leave it off on that note. Unfortunately, again, I think it would behoove Nier and all of us for Nier to watch the rest of the series.
So what I'm hearing is this should have been a movie.
I don't know if it would have been better if it was a movie.
I don't know about that. I think
remember
be worse.
Remember the last good Key movie? I remember that. I hated it. What was it? Clannad was it the Toei version? That sucked. I hated it.
Truncated version? Okay.
No, it completely changed to me in the ending. I hated it.
All right. Anyways, thank you, Nier, for helping to cover Kamisama ni Natta Hi, or The Day I Became a God. And again, we'll be having a very short talk. I'll try to keep it very short.
I'm sure we'll revisit this once like the last episode.
Yeah. Anyways, that was it for our anime review. Sorry we took a while, but again, all these series are relatively big. Most of these series were relatively big. It was nice to talk about them in a little bit more detail. And we move on now to the news. There's quite a bit of just non-person news for today or for these past 2 weeks. So we're going to mainly focus on just the non-people news and kind of skip over the people news for this podcast. Yeah. So I guess first off, you know what time it is. It's numbers time. It's ranking time, boys. And since it's the end of the year, obviously we have all the numbers here for the top selling manga and light novels in Japan by volume, by series, so on and so forth. I'll be mainly going over. Oh my god! Yo, guys, click on the top selling manga in Japan by volume 2020. What?
Isn't it Kimetsu no Yaiba?
Look at the rankings. Oh my god! What's happening?
Yes.
Are
Kimetsu
you-
no Yaiba?
Is this real right now?
Of course,
Of
dude.
course it is. Yeah, it's pretty good.
What's wrong with Japan? Holy mother of God!
It's a pretty good series.
It's pretty good.
I'm not saying it's not a good series. It's clearly a good series, but this is a little bit much.
I like
Is
how
it-
the same 2 volumes are basically on this ranking twice.
yeah,
Because one is the volume,
yeah, and then
and
the other one is the
volume
omake.
bundled with postcard set.
Yeah, omake stuff. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, did you see the anime? Did you see the movie? Pretty good.
So,
I still need to watch the movie.
the funny thing that happens so it's like when you see the rankings for the top selling manga in Japan by volume. This is Oricon, by the way. Oricon being the famous sort of statistics sales sort of tracker that has been running since forever in Japan since forever. And they started recording anime related stuff in, I believe, 2008. Yes, it says it here, April of 2008. So, for the first time since Oricon began reporting its book ranking charts in April of 2008, one franchise this year, one franchise, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, broke a record by taking the top 22 slots of the ranking chart. In addition, the limited editions of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Volume 20 and 21, which has the omake, like the bonus like material goodies and stuff like that, claimed the 27 and 28 spots. So the series occupied 24 slots of the top 30. If you look at these rankings, okay, it says rank number 1, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba 18. Number 2, volume 19. Number 3, volume 1. Number 4, volume 8. Number 5, volume 6. It is literally the top 20.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best-selling manga of all time.
Jesus Christ.
Of its entire lifetime, I should say.
Yeah, and then afterwards, there's other very popular stuff like One Piece, Spy Family, Attack on Titan, so on and so forth. And then next on the list, so it's like top selling manga. So just going over by series. If you look at it by series, top selling manga in Japan by series.
Holy
Jesus
fuck,
Christ.
dude! The disparity in the
Yeah.
actual
So,
sales.
The number 1 rank, this covers sales from the end of November 18th, 2019 to November 20th of 2020. Rank number 1, obviously Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba by Kotoge Koyoharu, and had an estimated sales of 82,345,000 copies in just this year. Followed by Kingdom, Hara Yasuhisa Hara, who had an estimated sales of just 8,251,000. That is literally 10% of rank number 1 Kimetsu no Yaiba. And number 3,
Christ,
One
man.
Piece, 7.7 million. Haikyuu after that, 7.2 million. And Jujutsu Kaisen, 6.7 million. So, Jesus Christ. Top selling light novels. Similar things are happening. By volume, everything's pretty much Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, whatever, blah, blah. And then number 4, New Overlord volume.
Complete global fucking saturation, dude.
Yeah. For light novel series, the top 5 are Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and then followed by ReZero, Slime. That time I got reincarnated as slime. I think that's Slime Tensei, right? And then Sword Art Online, And then 5, which is actually number 5, which is a surprising and welcome addition, Kusuria no Hitorigoto. So, Jesus. Kimetsu no Yaiba. Man. Kimetsu no Yaiba, man.
Pretty
So,
good.
yeah. Some news on this company industry front. Bushiroad announced on Friday, Bushiroad being one of those Japanese mobile games. And, cross-media franchise kind of companies, publishing companies. So Bushiroad announced on Friday that it has concluded a contract with the media company Broccoli for a partnership between the two companies. Bushiroad stated that its reason the partnership is part of its overall mission to quote unquote create a new era of entertainment as an IP developer holds. Now, Bushiroad holds around 3.9% of Broccoli shares. So Broccoli is mainly known for its media franchises Digiterra, Galaxy Angel, Aquarian Age, Uta no Prince Sama, Kamigami no Asobi, blah blah. So it's part of that. It's trying to kind of, I guess, it's not. It's trying to, I guess, set up, I guess, more efficient collaborations with each other, or trying to have a little bit more say on what future collaborations can happen between Bushiroad and Broccoli. But Bushiroad itself obviously is pretty famous, mainly dealing with card games, Cardfight Vanguard, Luck and Logic, Vice Shores, stuff like that. It also owns, a bunch of licenses, Tante Opera, Milky Homes, Bang Dream, Review Starlight, so on and so forth. So we'll see what kind of collaborations appear from future. Next, this is a little bit interesting, so I want to bring it up. But so you guys, we covered this in the news way back when. But
Quite
Yuki
a while
Aoi,
ago.
yeah, Yuki Aoi, voice actress behind many a famous character, most notably Madoka of the titular franchise, Madoka Magica. She is sort of making like an anime. Yeah, eventually anime probably is like a multimedia franchise or something like that. But she's taking a heavy hand in developing this. It's called Chimera Project. And she apparently has announced the main cast and the artwork and everything for the anime that she's trying to aim for in this Chimera Project. And it obviously has a bunch of big currently A-lister voice actors, right? So it'll be Giaoi, Kito Akari, Kotobuki Minako, Amamiya Sora, Hayami Saori, Sakura Ayane, all these big names, right? And project, if you look at the artwork, it's very
Freaking awesome. Yeah.
That's one way to put it. I don't know what Aoyuki is trying to aim for, but it's a very interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know what else to put. It looks like fairies. Okay, it looks like fairy stuff. But I hope something interesting will come out of it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's kind of though. It is interesting though, like all just joking aside, because
What level of furry is this?
I don't know.
It's pretty high level.
But it does involve, from what I've been hearing, it does involve Yuki Aoi's kind of direction very heavily, and that's relatively rare, right, in this industry, because all the roles are pretty heavily delineated, right? I mean, like people can be like, can we say something here in the script or whatever, right? But there's been almost no like voice actors coming in and saying, okay, I'm going to be the director or the main character designer or so on and so forth, right? So this is a very interesting.
Well, how
What
many
was that?
voice actors can draw at the same time?
What was that other series? Was it Miss Monochrome or whatever?
Oh, you're right. But that was for Yui Horie, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it was.
Yes. Is it? But was it? Was that made? Was that headed by her though? Is what I'm questioning, because like there's like I know it was like based around her.
She was the original character designer.
Okay, that's interesting.
So
Hmm.
not as heavy-handed, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting because a lot of these voice actors are kind of taking up their own reins, but I don't know what they kind of want to do with it other than being like, yeah, I did some stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is like a happy memory that I have now. Very interesting. Anyways, next on the list, one more. I want to say flower on top of the bouquet of flowers that Demon Slayer already has. The
bouquet of bouquets.
Yeah, exactly. The Hochi Shimbun newspaper revealed on Wednesday that the Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train anime film, has won the animation category in the newspaper's 45th Hochi Film Award. The other films, blah blah, are stuff like Madona's Fantasy Tale, Violet Evergarden the movie, blah blah.
Gee, how come UFO Table gets 2 good movies this year?
Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train, has sold a total of 20,532,000 tickets for about $265 million US in 45 days as of November 29th. The film has now earned more than James Cameron's Titanic to become the second highest earning film of all time in Japan.
So you're saying it's
All they do is win.
Only Spirited Away now sits a Oh, Japan is a funny place. Japan is a funny place.
you think that America won World War II? Well, who's gonna win World War III right now?
Oh my god.
How many
Anyways.
world wars has Japan won anyway?
None.
None.
What the fuck are you talking?
All right, so who was the antagonist of World War I again? Was it the Germans again?
Well, actually, no. Japan was in World War One, right? So technically, it did win the First World War
I mean,
as like an ally of a member
yeah.
of the Allies. But it didn't. But they got fucked because like everybody, like the U.S., the U.K., and I believe
I mean,
France,
pretty
right,
much
were-
everybody got fucked in World War I.
Yeah, they were just like everybody else doesn't get anything after.
And that's why World War II was more humane, in a way.
I don't. Think,
Don't.
I don't know about that. I
Be
don't.
very
I don't
careful about saying stuff like that.
But I think they technically did win World War One because they were an ally of the Allies. Anyways,
Why'd they turn
Yeah.
against us in World War II?
because like, as I said, the U.S., the UK, and France said fuck everybody at the negotiation table. But anyways,
Don't
that's neither
worry,
here nor there.
World War III will be fought through anime and VTubers.
I hope that's true, Tiz.
I mean,
Hey.
who do you think would win in a fight? V Shoujo or Niji Sanji?
Oh, Jesus. Anyways, moving on again. Congratulations to Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba for beating freaking Titanic in Japan, which is just like
Titanic
Japan.
even
Why?
relevant anymore?
Yes.
It's kind of extremely significant movie. Yeah.
most like
It's more Avatar nowadays, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, Titanic, in terms of like being like when most movie actors these days, like movie actors that are active in this generation, talk about like movies that they've seen, they they've been impacted by, or they recommend other people to watch. Titanic is usually up. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Yeah.
a very.
I mean, Titanic has a lot more like cultural significance than Avatar. Like, Avatar
Or
may have
Demon
made.
Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Yeah, Avatar may have like made like a bigger splash in terms of like revenue, but like
Avatar
the impact
and
that the Titanic had on like cinema is much bigger than Avatar.
Well, now it's Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, imagine Endgame, the greatest country
Or
in all that.
or I'm sorry, that was last year. What I meant to say was Monster Hunter.
It's true.
I don't know about that.
You mean Milan live action?
I mean, Monster Hunter probably definitely has a large impact on like filmmaking in terms of
Yeah.
never fucking piss off the Chinese ever again. But yeah.
Anyways, moving on. The Mainichi newspaper reported on Wednesday that the Labor Policy Council in Japan decided on Tuesday to add 3 new job types to the industrial accident compensation insurance policy that applies to employees of companies and organizations. The policy will include workers in animation productions, actors, and bone setters to the list of sole proprietors and others who can apply for special insurance after a revision at the end of fiscal year 2020. This is actually really good. Like, the policy enables people who have paid premiums to industry groups to claim treatment costs, compensation for absence from work, and other payments when they suffer accidents while working. So, honestly, yes. Fucking yes. We need more of this, okay? We need.
The more worker protections there are, the better, right?
Yes, we need, whether it's a fire or whether it's overwork leading to, freaking therapy or accidents or, them trying to jump off a building or whatever it is, right? We need to help these workers. Not, I mean, the whole like subsidies and like the training is one thing, but like the workers that are already there, we need to help. We need to help.
Yeah.
So this is very good. And last but not least, some more numbers. Netflix revealed on its website on Friday that anime viewership was quote unquote up over 100% in the United States on the streaming platform this year. I wonder why. The Pokemon. wait a minute.
What do you mean? Wonder why? Tell me why. I don't know why.
Probably something in the air, Toast. Anyways,
Yeah.
the Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution film was the most watched anime title this year.
That movie sucked.
Yeah, the movies are really bad.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked ugly. Just watch the original.
Anime viewership across Asia also doubled in 2020. Blah blah. Yes. So, anyways, Netflix.
Can you believe that there's only 2 more that one of the titans of anime is fallen, and it's only Netflix versus Funimation now? Isn't there somewhere?
Yeah. Are we not covering the Crunchyroll news?
Yeah. Oh wait, I didn't.
Sony bought
See that
Crunchyroll
on
for
A&M
fucking like
yes.
$1.2 billion.
When did that happen? Actually, did that happen these past?
Not long ago.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a week ago.
I didn't see all the Anime News Network stuff. Give me a second. Sorry, I apologize because you guys are.
They're trying to launch a disinformation campaign.
Yeah.
I see where Spire's loyalties lie.
It is a couple of days ago. Okay, here it is. Sorry, I apologize. You're right here. So I'll read it off here. This is all on a different site. AT&T inked a deal to sell its Crunchyroll anime business to Sony's Funimation Group for $1.175 billion in cash. Companies, and this was 3 or 4 days ago. Funimation, a joint venture between blah blah, has been a major rival to Crunchyroll in the global market for Japanese anime. Blah blah. We are proud to bring Crunchyroll into the Sony family. What's unclear for now is how Sony will combine Crunchyroll and Funimation, and whether the price for either of its services will go up or potentially be merged into a unified offering.
Hey,
didn't they
all
say
you
that they were probably
listeners
trying
out
to
there,
but they're probably
throw this little hypothesis out there.
I don't think they're gonna combine them at all. There's no real reason to, right? Like,
I mean, if they did, they could price hike it easily.
How do you think they're gonna split?
I mean, they don't
are-
need to combine them to price hike it. Is the thing.
That's
They
true, too.
own
They
both
don't
the
need to do that.
companies. Like, they can price hike it all they want. They own them both. Like, there's really no
It
reason
depends on
for
what they
them
want to
combine.
do. They could bundle them with. Do they have another streaming service, like their own, like general one? I forget.
What, Sony? I mean,
Sony or
They have,
Funimation?
like some
Sony
bullshit
owns
like
a shitload of.
Netflix-ish thing,
I'm sure they.
or like a Hulu, like.
No, I mean, Sony's not going to
Editor?
combine anything into like a cohesive streaming platform. I feel like
the
that's.
question I have is how.
No, I'm
how
saying
is
they might
licensing
bundle them though for like a
How is
price. They're gonna
licensing
bundle them for sure.
Because
I mean, maybe, yeah.
because the thing is, it's like they're not going to compete for the licensing distributions anymore, right? Like there's no, like there's literally zero reason for them to be
I
licensed.
mean, they won't really. No, they won't really compete, but like they'll still be split up, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's what I'm kind of curious about it.
because the way I'm looking at this is there's no reason for Sony to combine or like fuse Crunchyroll into Funimation, right?
Right.
Because like why have, all of the anime on one streaming platform when you can make your consumers pay for two streaming platforms to have access to all of the anime?
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
that you own both the platforms, there's nothing stopping you from price hiking both of them at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason why they would ever combine them would be to remove what's it called, costs, whatever fucking like overhead costs there are for like
Yeah, the
any
two
like
models that they could.
website management, any like
I mean, I really
like
doubt
any
that's going
general
to.
like office workers.
I really doubt that those costs are enough
But
to
those
like
won't those probably
combine
won't
these.
outweigh fucking.
Also, the system is too big for. I think the
Especially
system is
considering
really big.
Crunchyroll already doesn't pay their employees, so
The thing is also you have to consider like the general like integration like transfer costs. I think Crunchyroll especially is too big for it to kind of be modified too much. So I think what could happen, one of two things could happen. Obviously, one is what Nier said, they're going to keep it separate. They're going to try to minimize some stuff here and there while mainly trying to keep up the subscription model on both at the same time. Um, and the second thing is they could transfer the general sort of localization and having the VOD stuff, the streaming capabilities to one company, and then have the other company be like a focus in terms of like PR, marketing, uh, goods selling, doing whatever like licensing, blah blah blah. From I mean, like all the event kind of stuff. But that's again much less likely than just keeping the
yeah.
current model as is. Sans something like if they have some sort of super ambitious plan, like with some sort of really fucked up, like, hey, you're going to end up giving us all of our money model. If they have something like that up their sleeves, then they might do a reorg. But beyond that, I do think what Nearest.
Yep. Just keep it the way it is, keep the cash flowing in. And
Maybe we'll see the
now that
death
you're
of instant
essentially
dubs on
got a
Crunchyroll.
monopoly on the Western anime market, just price hike to your heart's content.
The most frustrating thing is like both this is happening and like it's not like Crunchyroll or Funimation will become any better. They'll just become more expensive. That's like the
It'll
most
probably
frustrating
get
thing about it.
worse.
Yeah, it's like they're already bad enough as is in terms of like their quote unquote professional localization, which is still again like a good head below like fan sub level, like standard fan sub levels. But it's just like fuck, this is not good. Like this is not good for the future of sub Japanese
Hey man,
anime.
the freer the market, the freer the people, am I
The
right?
marketplace of ideas, bro. The marketplace of ideas.
Yeah, listen, if you hate this so much, why don't you pull yourself up by the bootstraps, earn $1.3 billion, and then you buy it back?
I thought you were gonna say, why don't you pull yourself up out of the bootstraps and move to Sweden or something like that?
Why don't you make your own Crunchyroll, dude?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't you do that, buddy?
Why don't you just move to a socialist country, bro? But anyways, that's thank you, Nier, for catching me, alerting me about that because I forgot. I knew about it, but I forgot. Yeah.
Are you a real anime watcher if you don't listen to Crunchyroll news, Fire?
Yeah.
Anyways, that was it for the news. Again, I just go over the news real quickly. And with that, we are now on to our shout outs, call outs. Everybody gets one shout out and everybody gets one call out each. shout out is just one thing that you want to praise. 5 out of 5. Something that you're very happy about these past couple of days or weeks. Maybe any doesn't place a thing. And call out is the exact opposite, that you're sad, angry, whatever. And I guess I'll go. My shout out. Oh yes. My shout out is freaking these extra weights for my home gym finally actually arrived, so I can actually do more stuff now. So I'm shouting out to that finally arriving. In 4 months, it finally happened, so that's nice. And my call out. I feel like there was a call out I want. Oh, of course. My call out is to freaking good. I almost want to say Crunchyroll, but it's like generally just the people that are translating stuff that just like Crunchyroll, and obviously referring to VTuber stuff, but also mostly Crunchyroll because they're the ones that are actually getting paid for this shit, that are literally translating stuff differently. And then not only that, but it's like in addition, the general community of them and their sycophants, their freaking like the people who are like, well, I think that's a difference of opinion. I don't think that's that different. No, it's like no, there's a
Translation, bro. There's a right and there's a wrong answer.
It's like, first of all, even in the quote unquote smaller errors, there's a pretty significant nuance that you are missing if you are not translating it one way as opposed to the other. That's why why one has to be careful with translation, especially if you're translating something that is not your original. Secondly, there is a quote that so I was like going through some Symphogear stuff because I like Symphogear and I was listening to some music and stuff like that. And I didn't watch the video closely myself because I was just listening to the music. But I was looking through the comments, and apparently somebody said that there was a line that Crunchyroll translated that said, "Do you intend to use that to atone for killing your friends?" Right? Do you intend to use that to atone for killing your friend? And the actual translation was, do you intend to do this to spare them the sin of killing their friend? Which is a completely different meaning from the sentence. And these are professional subs. These are not like some stupid jackasses, on torrents or Tokyo Tosho or whatever. Like, yeah, well, this is free subs, whatever, bro. These are people that are getting paid, that are living off a subscription service to translate this shit. And they still make these fucking terrible ass mistakes as professional translators. And it's just abominable. Like, people are just like, why do you hate Crunchyroll so why blah blah blah. Do your fucking jobs and then maybe we can talk, okay? So that was my call out. It's just anyways, who wants to go next? Near.
My shout outs and call out are
okay, Toast. Shout outs, call outs.
My shout out is to okay. My shout out is to Rumiko Takahashi. She's cool.
Pretty
by
decent.
extension, Yashahime. It's all right. Not good. It's not good so far. It's not the best, but it's all right. I'm not as disappointed as I was with Rinne. Wow. Even though she didn't make Yashahime.
Okay.
Shout out my shout out is to what do I have to shout out? Near, what do I have to shout out? What did I not like?
You mean call out?
Yeah.
I don't know. Weren't you
I'm-
fucking freaking out about the dumbass Western VTuber shit yesterday?
Oh, you want me to talk
Oh,
about
Western
that?
Bingo.
Oh,
I
you want me to
mean,
talk about that?
if you want,
Please keep it very short. Because
Okay.
no, it's not. It's not because I think you're wrong. It's because that is a huge can of worms, and you know it's a huge can of worms, and I know it's a huge can of worms. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole too deep.
I mean, sure. Why can't we just get along? I guess. Oh, it's more about people who want to gatekeep Western VTubers for some reason. Like, you have one.
Wait, what?
I
People
guess
that want to gatekeep Western VTubers?
people who want to gatekeep VTubers in general, Western or not. I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, there's bad eggs on both sides. People who
Sure,
say,
yeah.
"Oh, we should." This is why I've seen people say on some certain discords, like, "This is why we should gatekeep VTubers because the it's becoming mainstream, and we don't want we don't want the people. We don't want certain types of people becoming VTubers. You know who I'm talking about. The ones that have caused controversy and stirring up drama. I don't
I mean, the
care.
ones that have quote unquote caused controversy haven't become VTubers though.
Yeah, but they don't worry. They
They
just
got a
haven't
live
debuted
2D.
yet.
Like,
Well,
it's
I
not
mean,
being like
it's
I'm transitioning my whole career.
it's a very interesting mess that's going on. In general, it's a lot of it again still boils down to Western cultural sensibilities versus sort of what's again this is the difference, right? It's like the thing I keep saying, where Westerners see everybody as sorts of like individuals in the wild, wild west, and they kind of should know, quote unquote, should know about what's going on Twitter with sort of these more Western originated identity politics going on with equality and so on and so forth, right? And they should be in tune with that already. And they see everybody as sort of these individuals who should be in the know on various streaming platforms. But in Japan, in Korea, in China, and a lot of these other East Asian communities, each platform in itself, and even VTubers or like ASMR or like Twit casting or whatever, open rec people or whatever it is, they are each their own ecosystem and communities. If that makes sense, it's very like Nico Nico is a sort of community in and of itself. The YouTube community in Japan is almost an ecosystem community in and of itself. It's not just like Japanese people are on YouTube. So there are rules that are sort of like cultural norms, that are sort of things that people do on Nico that they don't do on YouTube, Twitch, that they don't do on Meldum, OpenRank, whatever, blah, blah. And a lot of, again, Western people kind of come in here and they're like, oh, what fuck? Like, um, these people are using weird hentai anime avatars to do ASMR cosplay booby stuff. That's literally so illegal. Oh my god! And then they spaz out when it's not like the Japanese community is all like, wow, thumbs up, you should do that 24/7. But it's something that is like, yeah, okay, it's par for the at the play in regards to what's happening in Japanese. So people not realizing that and coming in and being like, why do you guys do this stuff is very slightly misplaced, right? I think.
Honestly, just let nature take its course. You want to be that vocal about it? Well,
Nature is already taking its course right now. So
yeah,
I
you want
think-
to be that vocal about it on social media before you even debut? Okay, sure. Let's see how many viewers you get. How long will you last in this How long you
Cruel,
last
cruel
in this
world.
environment? Yeah.
Cruel, cruel world.
If you think you're all that, why didn't you join the big leagues like some and get over 100K on your debut like some other people did? Maybe that's why you're indie and you didn't get it.
indie.
Yeah. Maybe that's why you didn't get accepted, even though you tried.
Anyways, thank you, Toast, for your shout out.
Just what is it? Just let them fight. Let them fight. They'll get over it. They're not important.
Yeah.
I mean,
If
realistically,
they-
if they're not effective at it, it's not going to work. So
Yeah.
it's not like even smaller VTubers at this point don't have like decent growth over time on YouTube. So if they
I mean, if you-
stagnate, then that's a pretty bad sign.
I mean, if you want to count this as good, there's the old saying, what is it?
Any earned? What?
No, it's
Any coverage is good coverage or whatever.
Yeah. Any coverage
I
is
don't
good
know
coverage,
about
sure.
Any news is good news, right, or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't think it
Yeah.
holds well to this.
No, you're
'cause-
thinking. No, you're thinking of what is it? All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, all
Yeah, sure.
Publicity is the word. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
We're all retarded except
Which
us.
is not the case. Which is not the case.
the only
Yeah,
way
yeah,
for an indie VTuber to get views is to develop some connections and make some friends. If this is how you're gonna make some friends, then good luck, I guess.
I mean, that's also not the only way to do it, though. Like,
Good luck on your network.
if you just consistently put out content and you're a VTuber, the YouTube algorithm's gonna start shitting that out to people regardless of what you do. As long as you hit the right notes, essentially, which will cause growth, especially with something like VTubing right now. Like, as long as you're putting out that content consistently enough for the algorithm to push it, it'll get pushed. And then, if you're effective at it, then people are gonna stay. Wow.
Dark, sounds like you put a lot of thought into this. How's your VTuber model going?
No, I mean, I'm just thinking of, I don't know, for a while now, it's just the way YouTube works is if you're trying to hit that,
it's about making splashes.
it's why shit like we discussed here, if you're trying to do a flash in the pan, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking VTuber for 2 weeks, it's well, that's not gonna actually do anything for you. It's not gonna, it's literally not gonna go anywhere, because unless you keep up with it, then it's not gonna push your content anymore. If you were oh, I have a live 2D that I use every now and then, it's that's not gonna help you on platforms that are trying to push you. It will for the week or two that you do it for, but once you stop, the algorithm's gonna stop too. It knows.
Very unfortunate.
Just join HoloLive, or
I
in
mean,
fact,
I don't know if it's that unfortunate, to be honest with you.
Just join Niji Sanji. They're holding interviews for HoloLive, or Niji Sanji English Global. What is it again?
Needs sounds English.
Yeah, I think it's specifically English.
All right, you gonna get in?
I don't know.
Did you apply? If he suddenly disappear, I'll know why.
If I suddenly disappear from,
why would he disappear?
I don't know if he would disappear. Also,
He suddenly disappear from all social media. Yeah.
I don't have social media to begin with, except my YouTube.
Your blooming
YouTube.
YouTube channel.
Yeah. Go check out Spire's YouTube channel. He does.
Stop. Oh my
He
God.
does pretty good translations. I mean, you see him
First of all,
making fun
the
of other people.
inverse should be happening, okay?
I should.
Fire should be at the end of every single translation. You should be like, hey, pop in, webcam up, wave to the camera, be like, hey guys.
Didn't that one guy that streamed himself singing Bakamitai or something like that?
That was fucking yeah. That was that one guy. Yeah. Okay. That was Fishcoon calling you out, buddy. No, Bird.
It's Burn Code.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't
There's
understand
so
what we're
many
fucking
names.
saying anyway.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Definitely does
Oh,
not. Cannot like
and
speak up more than about like 10 words per like minute, and
oh my
you're
god,
golden.
we're gonna get canceled by everybody in the C region, guys. But anyways,
How would we
thank you.
know? We don't
Oh, dude.
understand them.
Anyways,
Speak
thank you.
English, motherfucker.
God, dude, just the thing is, I the fact that I have to literally like apologize for being like, you know, making my subs slightly too fast or like moving it up a little bit or whatever it is, right? Or like stuff like that. And then people are just like, here's my ouchie 3D or whatever. Like, oh my god. Anyways, that's I shouldn't go on that rant.
Ceasefire, you know what you should do?
No.
What?
What?
Did you not apply to become one of the HoloLive's managers or whatever? Translators?
That's not manager, or it's not managers. It's literally like
Who do you think subs the Holo Graffiti? Why didn't you apply for that? They got some spicy dank people doing that.
The thing is, like a lot of
My favorite is still
Can I?
Murasake Shion. That's great.
I apologize for kind of dragging this up. I just want to say, like, well, I don't really want to. I'm kind of
Be
tired.
brave. Be brave.
I'm just kind of tired of dealing with how the Hololive like community and the fan community react. I'm a little bit tired. I don't know.
Aspire.
I don't know whether it's just me being old or whatever. I'm just a little bit tired of how the community acts sometimes.
Aspire, join me in the 3 HoloLive Discords I snuck into.
That's
You'll have a
exactly
fun
like
time.
this is exactly why I don't join this. I explicitly do not join those Discords because
They have some fun conversations in
Bro,
there.
you can be famous.
Yeah.
I don't want to be famous in those kinds of Discords. Anyways, thank you, Toast.
Do you want to join the official
I don't want to join
translator
any.
Discord?
I don't want to join any.
I think there's one. I'll look for the one that all the good translators are in, and I'll link it to you.
Thank you. Nier, what is your shout out and call out, my friend? Please get me out of this mess.
I don't know. Fucking
How's the weather up there in Canada, Nier? It's
shit. I'll do fuck it. So kind of a more somber thing, but I'll shout it out anyway.
Uh-huh.
So recently, have you guys ever heard of the Dad of Light series about Final Fantasy 14?
Oh yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah. So the Dad of Light is a series that was inspired by a series of blog posts made by a player of Final Fantasy 14 that essentially he used the game to reconnect with his estranged father, right?
Uh-huh.
And it inspired a bunch of adaptations. I think there's a novel, there's the TV series, and I think there's even a movie as well. And unfortunately, recently this week, the author of the blog posts passed away from colon cancer, and um, Naoki Yoshida, who is the director behind Final Fantasy 14, actually,
Mhm.
he wrote up his own blog post saying how, you know, he was sorry to hear, the news, and like just going into how like that story like influenced even the way he like looks at developing Final Fantasy 14. So sad news, but I thought it was really cool to see like the director behind the game, commenting on the passing of like a community member, right? But yeah, um, that happened.
Condolences to his friends.
Yeah. Um, as for callouts, I'm not too sure.
Nier is such a kind. He's such a kind person these days.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely what it is. I don't know. I mean,
It also helps that the election is done. It's like
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, there's still plenty of fucking stupid shit going on.
But that's cleaning up the mess more than.
Yeah, Nier, who did you vote for in the election?
Yeah, you mean like the 4 people getting stabbed in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
in the past
Anyways,
hour?
I mean,
Nier.
there's also
Go.
people threatening actual domestic terrorism because the Supreme Court slapped down the fucking Texas case.
Yeah, like stabbing 4 people in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
mid-class.
Pretty cool. I guess I'll. I mean, it's not really a call out because it's like stuff's finally happening. But a couple days ago, the Ontario government announced starting Monday we're going back into like full lockdown. Because lately mostly the Toronto area has been getting hit pretty hard with COVID-19. And people just refuse to obey the rules that are in place, and so our MP has basically said like, yeah, we got to close it down for like I think he said at least 3 weeks. And they're quite strict with this one. Basically, it's like if you live with any like sort of family, you cannot visit another family. Like it is illegal, and you will be
Yeah.
fined a lot of fucking money if you like break the rules. So I mean, it's not really a call out because I feel like it's something the government should have done. But I mean, I'm kind of calling it out because they should have done it earlier, I think. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be fun to deal with.
Okay. And last but not least, Dark.
Um, I'm gonna shout out
How's your raid going?
we killed one boss. We killed the first boss. The second boss has a lot of fucking health. At least the second one we tried. Yeah, I think we could kill that one given a little bit more time, but oh well. It's pretty tight for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I talked enough about WoW earlier. I'm gonna shout out Joseph Fares and the game It Takes Two, because that game looks very fun. That guy, I don't know, man. What a cool fucking dev. Because like they're doing the thing again where one person buys the game and you just get a copy to give to someone essentially.
It's a pretty good VTuber stream, if you know what I'm saying. Can't wait for certain VTubers to collab and play it.
Yeah, like those games or his games just seem to nail like you want like a decently sized co-op experience that'll give you like the bang for your buck and like just a bunch of fun shit to do. Just buy that. Like I don't know. That was good. Trailer was good. Game looks fun as hell. But yeah, best game at the Game Awards. And then I think my call out. My call out's gonna. Yeah, fuck it. I'm calling out. Fucking Cyberpunk, and I'm calling out the people who told me I was crazy. I mean, when I said fucking 3 weeks, oh, that's not a good sign for a 3-week delay. People were like, "No, it's gonna be fine." Comes out, it's not even the fucking game people thought it was gonna be. Apparently, it's pretty good if you approach it from a Deus Ex standpoint. But people thought
Yeah.
that shit was gonna be like fucking GTA, like open world sim.
I
It's
don't know
not.
why.
I think they did just because it's like one of the first trailers was like, we fucking, like literally the voiceover is like, we developed like the most advanced open world and like crowds yet with this system. And then it's like,
So,
you didn't do that.
I mean, even if they did, that's still not like a GTA. Like it. To be honest, let's be real. Cyberpunk's AI is fucking brain dead stupid. But
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like,
like
I think people were
even
expecting
if
like the open
even if
world
you
AI
did
to be
have
good.
like good AI and stuff, like that wouldn't really differentiate it. Like that wouldn't push it into being more
Yeah,
like GTA. Like it's still it's still super structured, like a Deus Ex Lite.
yeah.
Um,
I think people thought with the amount of like open world marketing they did that it was like going to be like a very open world heavy game. Um, I don't know. And that kind of sucks. Like I was kind of hoping it would be, but I mean it can still be pretty fucking awesome without. But the main thing really is, shit like we're graciously granting our employees these bonuses even though like the thing that caused it was our fuck ups anyway.
yeah, that shit was fucked.
Like any company using a system where it's like, yeah, we're giving bonuses out based on Metacritic scores is fucking retarded. Um, especially because it's
That's a big
Metacritic
X
for
from me.
fuck's sake. Like, and not only that, it's like, yeah, all it really does is it strong arms reviewers to lie, knowing that these
Yeah.
systems are in place. I think like after hearing that, I think that's why we saw so many reviews that were like, yeah, I'm gonna give this game like a 9 out of 10 because if it wasn't for the bugs, this game would be a masterpiece. And it's like, okay, but for the consumer, this game, especially on like PS4 and Xbox One, is fucking awful. Like this game is near unplayable on the old consoles. Like, well, no, like I don't think you can give that like a pass because it's like, well, the game once these bugs are patched out will be great. And it's like you can't really say that. Um, yeah, that sucked. The like just grand irony of CD Projekt Red being like, we're giving out like uh, funny tokens to our favorite employees for bonuses to cash in if the game does well. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like,
I mean,
that's
bonuses like that
horrible.
aren't super uncommon, but the problem is that it's tied to whether the game reviews well or
Yeah,
not,
I
right?
mean reviews well, and also it's like giving out tokens. What the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah, we're giving out tokens with our company logo on it each month to our favoritist employees. It's like just give them a bonus for the love of God. like like that to me is just fucking insane and really weird and gross that they're like, yeah, we're a games company and we're gonna fucking make a game out of getting your bonus. Like, okay, cool.
It
Now,
creates
granted, the
a
profit sharing was still definitely really good for employees because it's like this game sold fucking better than anything else. I think it passed Shadowlands as the fastest selling PC game of all time. Uh, like a week after Shadowlands came out, which is
Yeah.
funny. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like the whole situation fucking sucks because it's like would have been great for the game to release properly, and it's like the bonus system was really like really gross to hear about. And then, I just like also like people that are still like in denial in the sense that like I I don't know, man. I've lost all faith in CDPR at this point because it's like I'm still hearing people like, you know, the Project Red has to basically take this on the chin and use it as a learning experience and like really show they're changing and shit like that. And it's like this was the same conversation we heard after The Witcher 3 came out. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Witcher 3 launched in a state pretty much exactly like this. So,
yeah, it's like I like at this point I'm just like, nah, I don't understand what's going on anymore with this shit. It's fucking sucks. I mean, I understand what's going on with it. What it was CDPR. Literally, people were too blind to see their entire play was with The Witcher 3 releases in a fucked up state. They go, we're gonna fix it, and then yeah, they tighten it up, but then they go, and free DLC because we're not like those other guys, and it's like the DLC that was free was like fucking not even like
armor
that crazy.
sets.
Yeah, it was like fucking armor set. They were like heroes content that
There's
like
like 2 armor sets, costume for Triss, Yen, and Ciri, and like mission, like a quest.
yeah, it's
Okay.
like it wasn't actual like free DLC. Like it wasn't free fucking expansions. And then people were like, "Oh, but the expansions were really good too." It's like, well, if they sold you that, cool. And they just used like all of that type of shit to like drum up good press and like just essentially convince people like we're the good guys, and then just do a bunch of wild shit anyway. That you know, this did bite them in the ass. Because if Cyberpunk released and it was like fine in a fine state, then it's like, oh, you know, no one would be obviously saying a fucking thing about it, but they still would have done quite a few pretty fucked up things to get there. So either way, the whole situation blows. I hope the game does, you know, get better at some point because I would like to buy it. But
It's pretty fun.
until it does, and until I get a 3080, that's not happening.
Yeah.
What if you get a defective one, just like Amelia Watson?
If you get a defective 3080, I'm pretty sure they send you another one like pretty quick. They don't like make you wait, thankfully.
Anyways, thank you, Dark, for shout out and call out. And with that, we are finally done with podcast for today. Again, thank you everybody for listening to us doing a 6-part of our fall 2020 season. Again, a pretty hefty season. I guess one of the heftier seasons that we've seen in quite a while. Things there are just so many big names, so many unique series just coming out of the woodwork. And since next season is also the classic sort of New Year's winter rollout, you know, the smaller studios come out with their own unique series that they want to kind of try out in the winter season. And obviously, these days, a lot of big studios are kind of putting out their sequels as well during the winter season. So next season is going to be pretty big as well. So we'll see how that goes. But as I said at the top of this podcast, we are going to have sort of back podcasts for a couple of next several weeks here. We're going to have our preview podcast. That'll be after Christmas, I believe, on the 26th, I believe, the weekend of the 26th. And so we'll have that preview for the winter season. And that'll be followed up, of course, by the end of the year awards podcast. The awards podcast that'll be on the weekend of the 2nd of January. So that'll be pretty much right after New Year's. That'll be that. And then afterwards, we're going to be heading straight into the new season, the winter 2021 season. And we'll be going into that full speed. So yeah, just watch out for those. Keep up updates on our social media. And as always, if you do like what we do, you can follow us over at Twitch, www.twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast, starting with the number 4. Follow us here where we live record our podcast every other Saturday, starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about the latest and greatest in Japanese anime media, anime, manga, light novels, web novels, visual novels, and so much more. So check us out here. Check us. We have our VODs available in Twitch format here, as well as up on YouTube on 4PlayerAnimecast. So you can check us out on either platform, whatever your heart desires. Check us out on our social media as well for more updates and information on Facebook, 4PlayerAnimecast, as well as Twitter at 4PPAnimecast. So check us out here, check us out there. And as always, we'll see you next time.